Pace truck has pulled away. Great crowd on hand. And here comes the field to the green flag at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Jimmie Johnson made a nice run through that first turn. It looked like it was almost wide open right on the bottom. I thought Carl Edwards might be able to pinch him down.
Looked like Jeff Gordon might have gotten the wall there off turn 2.
We saw last night in the Nationwide race that early on, when these tires didn't have a whole lot of heat in them, that they were very slippery out there.
He almost got it again off turn 4. You know, that track is going to get wide, but it's awfully dirty on the top side of the racetrack right now, and those guys are finding that as they get up in that high groove coming off these corners. See Jeff now staying on the bottom of the racetrack. I really thought Carl Edwards was going to give Jimmie Johnson a little better run for that 5 points. Looks like he tried to, but Jimmy had a plan.
Little battle for 7th spot. Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting a challenge from the 0-7 of Clint Bowyer. Here's the battle back up front.
I thought Carl was going to try to hold him down there, and that might make that outside line work like we saw last night. We had a car in the wall just off of 4 there. The 77 car has already been into the wall also. He had a crash yesterday.
20 car, last week's winner, Tony Stewart. And on the outside of the 0-7, that is for 8th position.
And Clint Bowyer had an accident yesterday in the final practice session too. They had to repair this race car, so sure that he's just kind of treading a little bit lightly right now. They were able to get the car fixed and back out on the racetrack. I'm sure he wants to just get settled in here.
Let's show you again what happened to Jeff Gordon on the very first lap of the race here, just coming off the corner.
I think he just found himself a little bit too high exiting. That kind of a lick doesn't seem to affect these cars too much, so I think he'll be okay.
Earnhardt Jr. is on board.
At your door there, you're pulling them. At your bumper still. Still there at your bumper. Still there.
That's a nice save there.
He didn't even lose any ground to Clint Bowyer on the inside. He actually pulled ahead while he was hitting the wall. That's pretty cool.
Now trying to move in on Kevin Harvick for 5th position.
That's what I love about this new car. It is so durable. It can take licks like that and just keep running with no problem at all.
Yeah, we already see these guys starting to spread out, and you said this racetrack's going to get wide, and it's going to get wide in a hurry. We see Junior on the bottom.
It's not wide enough for
again.
Jeff. It's still not wide enough for Jeff. I don't know. He's really struggling with that high grade.
Really good this time. We're in trouble.
Now that one was hurt. That'll hurt the car there.
And they will have to bring that car down to pit road, and obviously he's still staying on the racetrack, but my goodness, Andy.
And he's still ahead of Clint Bowyer.
Got the crush
He's gonna,
I can hear the exhaust.
He's going to have some problems with that lick right there, though. That was pretty hard hit, and I would actually be concerned about the tires. The sidewalls getting against the wall so hard there early.
Or just do the best you can with
a lot of time.
We'll get it.
He's got a lot of time. He's going to have to run these tires.
Yeah, he's just up way out of the groove right there. You can hear him say the car's been tight.
And that's concrete he hits right there. That safer barrier had ended before he hit it there.
It is hard to imagine with that kind of lick there that he did not bend the sheet metal in against a tire and has already had a tire problem.
I know this car it always amazes me just how durable it is. I mean, he's still running fairly fast lap times, and he is. I'm telling you, he killed that wall.
Tony Stewart moving on the inside of the 29 car of Kevin Harvick.
Now this is a guy, Tony Stewart, that everybody was pointing at in the garage area. I talked to a lot of guys, and they said Tony Stewart had a car to beat. Jamie?
That's exactly what I was going to say, DJ. He's running solid right now, but everybody was saying, yes, he's definitely the car to beat. He just broke a 43-race winless streak last weekend. They're bringing a brand new car. They brought it here for the test 3 weeks ago. They're really happy with it, and Zippy just looked at me and said, yeah, I think we're going to be top 5. Definitely keep your eyes on the 20 car.
How does that happen when a guy suddenly breaks a winless streak and then goes on a roll where suddenly he's just almost unbeatable?
Well, one of the ways that happens, this 20 car has had good performance all year. They just haven't had the luck. They finally got some good breaks and a good break last week at Talladega, and that can just open it up. I mean, they've had the performance to win. They just hadn't had the luck.
Early laps here. Jimmie Johnson has led all 8 laps thus far. And here comes a 24 car finally down pit road. Dave Burns.
And guys, they were going to try to ride it out, but they began detecting that there was too much of a rub on the right front and possibly on the right rear as well. So they are going to pit this 24 car. They are going to pull out the fenders on the front and the rear of the car and change the right side tires. Disappointing start to the night for these guys. They thought they had a good race car, maybe not the fastest, but now they've got a dented up race car immediately at the start of this race.
Bring your tire bank. All right, it's close. We got to go.
Now that makes for a long night there. Whenever you have something like this happen this early in the race.
Well, that's the key. It is early. They'll have a lot of time to make this up if the car will keep running good. It looked like he had, maintained okay. They came in because of the tire rub. The car was still fairly competitive.
20 car, Tony Stewart moving by the 88, and that is for 5th position. He makes a move. We saw a moment ago, looked like Carl Edwards was starting to inch in a little bit up front on Mr. Jimmy Johnson.
He was tracking him down, but he got within just a few car lengths there, and now it's kind of stabilized.
Jimmy Johnson from the pole, by virtue of being the points leader, has led all 11 laps here so far. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Jimmy Johnson currently leads the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte. We are at lap 17. If you just joined our coverage, Jeff Gordon bumped the wall on lap 1, then again on lap 3, and has been on pit road on lap 10 for right side tires. He is the only car not on the lead lap. He's being shown in 43rd position, 1 lap down. There is the 24 car and the damage to the right side.
He's watching his lap times. He's fairly competitive. He's running speeds that are very close to the leader's lap times, even though he has some new right side tires. So the car's not hurt as bad as we would think after hitting the wall that hard.
Jimmy Johnson is the guy they're chasing, Jeff Gordon's teammate, Dave.
And starting up at the front of this field because of qualifying being rained out is a huge advantage according to driver number 48. But if you talk about the other advantage they've had here at this racetrack, he's a 5-time winner. He said, some of that advantage has gone away from us. The changing of this racetrack, especially the repaving, has brought the other competitors closer to us. But I don't know how much closer, guys. He still looks pretty good here at the Lowe's Motor Speedway.
They were talking about maybe losing some of their mojo. They finished 39th here back in May when they had an engine problem, and finished 14th in this race a year ago. So 2 races in a row they haven't had a top 10.
Here's a guy that's the fastest car on the track, has been for about the last 6 or 7 laps. Tony Stewart's literally been 0.2 of a second faster than Jimmy Johnson, who's leading the race. But he's just mowing these guys down. Andy, he's normally not a guy that runs the middle and top side. He usually wants to be on the bottom, but he's making time up there.
When he's good, you usually see that left front tire below the white line going through the corner, but he's working that high line real well and making some ground.
And there he goes to the bottom as we talk about that.
Yeah, this is where you normally see Tony Stewart run well.
We mentioned at the top of the show, he thought he had the race won here back in May. Pit strategy did not change tires on that final pit stop with 12 laps to go, and with 3 laps to go, lost the right front tire. Casey King goes by and takes the win. One of the cars we talked about just among us today for maybe being a sleeper, because he's getting better and better each and every week, is that 6 car of David Ragan.
He's got a pretty good guy. He's following up through here, too, and he's making some time towards the top 10. He's right behind Mark Martin, who's moved into the 10th spot. David Ragan in the 11th spot now. Car really looks good and solid on the racetrack. Shannon?
Well, I spoke with David Ragan's veteran crew chief, Jimmy Fenix, today. He agrees with you guys. He said David Ragan is very close to getting a victory this year, he said. But he said if we don't get a victory this year, he's very confident that they'll get one next year. But one thing he said he had to keep in mind is making the chase next season, he feels will be even more difficult than it was this season. He pointed out the fact that Mark Martin, of course, former driver of that car, will be competing for the chase, and it'll just make it that much stronger of a field.
Yeah, guys, I spent some time with David Ragan today, and I know him from his Bandolero and Legend days down in Atlanta, Georgia. And he just was frank with me. He said, darn it, Brad, I'm tired of running well. I want to win a race. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get this number 6 to victory lane before this season's over. I want to be in victory lane, so keep an eye on that old number 6. I think he's trying to get that hot rod up into victory lane for us.
Brad, he came so close last week, finishing 3rd, tying his career best finish at Talladega. Tony Stewart, what do they say in Hollywood? Cue the smoke, because that's Tony's nickname, and suddenly they've cued him with that win at Talladega, and he is on the march. Jamie.
He sure is. He just radioed in and said, I'm pretty good everywhere, just a tick tight late entry. Now, if you watch his lines, he's running the middle right now, and he's able to run high early, and that's what Greg Biffle is asking for. He wants to know where Tony was running when he was behind him, because most cars only one groove about now, so that 20 car guy's already moving around this early.
Behind this battle, the 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He led the most laps here back in May, had a tire issue, ended up still getting a top 5 finish. Probably had the car to beat.
Yeah, and he's running just inches from the wall. If we'll watch him, don't prove me wrong, Junior. Stay up there now. I've been watching him. Look, I'm telling you, inches. He runs as close to the wall as anybody that we've seen in a long, long time.
Here comes Casey Kane doing just what he said. He wanted to run the bottom of the racetrack. He's making headway to the front, right on that white line.
Yeah, I saw him making a few laps a while ago, kind of testing the outside, too. So he's just kind of searching around right now, but he went by Kevin Harvick there, so he's moving back forward into the 12th spot now.
Casey has won 3 times in his last 5 starts at this racetrack. Very, very good. 3 times, I should say, in the Cup car. He's also won in the Nationwide car here. 26 laps in, the Bank of America 500. Jimmie Johnson has led all the way. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Here's the top 5 in the Bank of America 500, lap 31. Jimmie Johnson, Tony Stewart, who is reeling in Johnson very quickly, Edwards, Earnhardt Jr., and Biffle. But Tony Stewart has just cut this lead in half the last 2 laps.
He's coming.
He's just flying. He's gone through traffic faster than Jimmie Johnson could. Looked like Jimmy's car might have gotten a little loose. So we see Tony Stewart take the lead. And this is impressive. 32 laps.
He's going to be able to work this lap traffic pretty well because he's using that extreme high line, and it doesn't look like the lap car. Now here he goes to the bottom. That's the thing. He's really got a car that can run anywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't think his traffic is going to give him any problem at all.
Yeah, that's what's been impressive. He's been able to pass them wherever they give him room. If they move there, we see Junior coming to the 3rd spot, passing Greg Biffle. He and Tony Stewart are by far the 2 fastest cars on the racetrack. They're running similar lines, but there's nobody up there where Junior's taking this thing. See Biffle still down on the bottom. Mike, what are they saying in Junior's camp?
Well, they're real happy with the race car, and they've been real happy with that race car all weekend long. In fact, you guys talked a little bit about what happened here in May when Dale Jr. led 76 laps. Well, believe me, that's very fresh in his memory. He said earlier this weekend he feels like this track now owes him one, and as a result of where they currently stand in the point standings, Tony Eury Jr. told me this morning, he says he feels like we're out of it, but there's some freedom that comes with it. He thinks they're able to be a little bit more aggressive now and exclusively go for wins, really evaluating that car, the 88, against the competition in the field. He felt like the only car in their class is the 20, and of course we've seen what the 20's been able to do so far tonight.
Hard to believe that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has never won a points-paying race at this racetrack where his daddy, Dale Sr., won 5 times.
Yeah, we've seen this from Junior too, so let's see how they keep up with the racetrack tonight. You know, they've started out a lot of races really fast and haven't been able to finish it off.
One other thing they're going to have to worry about, though, is how high he's running this race car. He runs that line very well and makes a lot of time, but it's so risky. You get up there and get just a little bit too high and you start banging the car around.
He'll probably tell you if he happens to get into it, it won't be nearly as hard as if he was down at the bottom.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin wishes he'd have been up the racetrack a little bit more on Talladega last week. And now he heard you guys, he's going to move down to the bottom of the racetrack and run down on the inside for a while. There's the 99 car, Carl Edwards, trying to hold on to that 3rd position. Mike?
Well, guys, Carl Edwards continues to make headlines, and it's headlines he does not want to make after the incident in Talladega. Well, he took exception with some of the comments Kevin Harvick had made right on our airwaves a week ago. And, well, that turned into a very heated exchange earlier this weekend. It got physical, and as a result, NASCAR called both Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards to the NASCAR trailer following the drivers' meeting this afternoon. They kind of hashed things out, cleared the air a little bit. I spoke with Carl. He wouldn't elaborate on exactly what was said, but he did tell me at the end of that meeting, both him and Kevin shook hands, and that at least in Carl's mind, it's behind them.
As you said last night, Andy, both these guys are pros, and you just can't believe they would consider doing anything on the racetrack at these speeds.
No, I think they're going to be fine on the track. It's just off the track. And I think Junior's struggling real big here. I was watching his lap times and he just fell way off right when he caught Carl Edwards. I don't know what's going on here.
You know, Andy, you said last night about 50 laps was all that those guys were able to get out. They started seeing some problems with the right front tire, and we know how much harder this car is on the right side tires. Here we are just under 40 laps, so could they be experiencing something here?
Yeah, he could be feeling something he doesn't like and just going to kind of cool it a little bit.
Real loose. Rotating way too much all the time.
Well, I tell you one thing I'm concerned about for Dale Earnhardt Jr., guys. If you remember the Coca-Cola 600 this year, he was leading the race running that same line right on top of the racetrack running loose and just lost it a little bit and creamed that wall and destroyed his chances to win that race. So he's got me a little nervous right now because he's running that exact same line, guys.
And Rusty, good point. You heard Kenny Francis talk about this track being so hard on that right front tire, which is the issue that Earnhardt Jr. had here in May.
Just builds so much heat. This racetrack is still fairly new. It's got great asphalt and a lot of grip, and it makes a lot of heat in those tires, especially the right sides.
Yeah, we'll see him running there. Biffle, Jeff Burton, who's been running that high line also and making a lot of time. His car's been awfully good. And one thing we need to point out, too, as Tony Stewart laps a lot of these cars, Jeff Gordon, who had those problems early, now he's way back. There are 6 cars in front of him that are a lap down, so that's going to take away his chances right now, even if the caution would come out, of getting the free pass.
Probably 10 to 12 laps away from green flag pit stops. Tony Stewart is our leader here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Under caution for the first time tonight, Lowe's Motor Speedway. Hard impact in the turn 4 wall by the 78 car of Joe Nemechek.
You'll see coming up on your screen here. Right front tire goes down. Joe into the wall in the 4th corner there. Hits pretty hard.
At the same time, the 77 car got in the wall also. He had a right front go down.
See from Carl Edwards.
Right here,
there.
stay low, stay low. Green is still out, keep coming. Now the yellow's out, now the yellow's out.
And the leader is coming down pit road for the first time tonight. Jamie.
Tony Stewart saying he's just tight center and off now. They're just going to take some air out of that left rear 4 tires. They're going to stop him short because the 55 of Michael Waltrip is coming in. Mike?
Carl Edwards saying he's tight center. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. A ½ pound out of the right rear, a ½ pound in the left rear, trying to free him up in the center. A 4-tire change in Sunoco race fuel on the 99, Dave.
Same condition for the 48 car, tight in the middle of the corner, lost the lead to the 20 earlier. That'll be a chassis and air pressure adjustment for Johnson. His crew gets him down and away off of pit road, guys.
There is the race off of pit road. Jimmy Johnson had the best pit position, and by virtue of having that stall, able to gain a spot. Carl Edwards up. Tony Stewart back in the middle of pit road, lost 3 positions. You see Kyle Busch +1. Watch how close it was. Watch Jimmy just get there. There comes a 99. And they're loving that. They got their guy out of the pits and back up front. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Aerial coverage here at Lowe's Motor Speedway brought to you by our good friends at Goodyear. Get there on Silent Armor technology with the strength of Kevlar for toughness and a comfortable ride. Tony Stewart lost 3 spots on that exchange in the pits a moment ago. Let's show you what happened here in the pits.
Need to watch this right front tire changer. The tire changer's job is to hit these lug nuts precisely, and you see here he's hitting 2 or 3 times on some of these, and takes a while to get this tire off. And he gets behind, and it just costs him enough time. A few seconds is all it takes with these guys on pit road, and you'll lose some spots.
We're in good shape, guys. I was going to say, don't worry about it. Don't fret it. We're in really good shape here. Just take care of this thing all night. We got something we can work with all night.
Gotta love hearing that. If you're a crew member, you got something to work with here. Tony doesn't brag to this early in the race that often.
No, but he knows he's got a fast race car. So go back to green.
Jimmy Johnson's crew got him out first. He will lead him down. Edwards, Jeff Burton, Stewart, and Biffle, the top 5.
You can see Jeff Gordon's the 3rd car on the inside there as far as trying to get that lap back. I'm not sure how good his car is after that contact with the wall a couple of different times.
Tony Raines and Dave Blaney in front of him are both lap cars. He's going to have to get around Both those cars will be the first car to get the free pass if the caution were to come back out, the 70 and 22.
Carl Edwards is going to push hard right here to try to get by Jimmy Johnson before Tony Stewart gets there, so he can try to get these 5 bonus points for leading the race.
We'll see Stewart take that 3rd spot away from Jeff Burton. As you said, Carl Edwards really wants those 5 bonus points. Oh yeah, here we go. Already heating up. We're 50 laps into these 334, and these guys 3 wide. David Ragan down the bottom. Our in-race reporter Casey Kane right there as we ride along out of turn 4. Great shot. They go over a little hump right there. The car gets a little bit light. You can see that 5 car hung out just a little bit. Jamie Murray right there in front of Casey Kane.
Joe Nemechek, by the way, hit the wall just a moment ago, has taken that car number 78 to the garage area. He is the first car actually off the racetrack. Still 42 running.
Things still heating up here. Carl gets close to him, but it's like when he gets to his bumper, he loses a little bit of aero on the front end. Mike?
Yeah, Carl Edwards just radioed in a lot of anxiety in his voice to Bob Osborne saying, hey guys, we've got a vibration. Osborne's response was, hey, just hang on for now and see if it gets worse, but something to pay attention to.
Hate hearing that right after pit stops.
Right now, here I come.
Yeah, he's got a loose wheel. He's coming now.
4,100.
It's a good move right here. Just go ahead and get this car on pit road and don't take a chance early. A lot of time left.
Yeah, he had to get really slowed down. He had a lot of speed because he came way around there. Know a lot of cars were on the bottom there. So hopefully he didn't speed in that first segment.
45 miles an hour. They give you a 5-mile-an-hour buffer through these segments.
By the way, stop on the sign. Don't slide it, bud.
And Edwards on pit road now. They look at the right side. They'll go to work there. Just a 2-tire change. They have isolated the problem to the right side of that race car, hoping to correct that vibration.
Crash.
00 A.J. Allmendinger, who had led a moment ago during the caution flag. His first and only start in this car, and he has tagged the wall very, very hard.
Jeff Gordon had got by those 2 cars, Tony Raines and Dave Blaney, so he is going to be the free pass here.
The only kicker is Carl Edwards. Carl was coming off of pit road at the exact same time.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he down. I believe he stayed on the lead lap there.
Boy, AJ has knocked that wall down right here now.
Hard hit.
AJ was career best finish last week. Got a great run a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that thing's killed.
Driving the Red Bull Toyota, was replaced in that ride, put in the 00 for this week.
Oh yeah, that's going to get it. They were about 3 wide there. You could see that he kind of got squeezed out of the middle into the wall hard head first and then back into the wall.
Anytime that you see a race car take a right-hand turn, it's not good. I mean, even if you get spun from the left rear or something, it's going to hit hard, but
look here.
It's right-hand turns.
You can see he gets into the 01 of Regan Smith, and he had the 45 on the inside, so he didn't have really anywhere to go. It kind of upsets these cars. It upsets them aero-wise, and also as you jerk the wheel, you just lose control easily.
See that shock absorber rolling down the racetrack out of the back of the car after he hit.
As you can see, it's hard racing there. I'm not sure the 01 knew or thought or had any idea that the 00 was going to be in there with him.
See a shock absorber rolling across the racetrack. That's a pretty savage impact on the wall. And that was concrete he hit. He hit on the straightaway. They don't have the safer barriers, because you normally don't see cars crashing right there on the straightaway with that kind of angle.
The 99, we are being told, did not stay on the lead lap. The field came by, and Jeff Gordon, though, did get the free pass, so he will be back on the lead lap. That means there will be 34 cars on the lead lap. Still 42 on the racetrack, or make it 41 now with Allmendinger in the accident and Nemechek in the garage area.
A nice job by Jeff Gordon there. He had to work hard in a short amount of time to get by those cars. You know, the thing is, you're trying to race and pass those cars, but you've also got these lead lap cars that you're wanting to work with also. So great job by Jeff.
Jimmy Johnson has won 5 times at this racetrack, and we call it the house that Jimmy built. He is so good at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Thanks, Matt. We are at Lowe's Motor Speedway under caution for the second time and out. A very hard hit by the 00 car of A.J. Allmendinger. Jimmie Johnson is our leader. Jimmy's teammate Jeff Gordon has gotten back on the lead lap, but the crew chief for Carl Edwards pleading his case because he thought they should have gotten the free pass by being the first car a lap down.
Well, when the caution flag came out, Carl Edwards had really not gone a lap down when they froze the field. And I think that what he's arguing here is that that should leave them on the lead lap. But he still has to beat the leader to the end of pit road.
Yeah, but he didn't do that. But why isn't he the first car a lap down? I'm a little confused myself here. Then he shouldn't. I know they're saying that the caution came out before he was a lap down, but then if it did that.
Tires, 4 tires, nice and smooth.
Jeff Gordon back in. Let's go down to Dave.
They'll change 4 tires, Doc, and take a little time on an adjustment that they wouldn't want to take under green. They'll put a spring rubber into the right rear of that car. You see him holding and working right there, making sure it gets in there tight and keeping that car just a little bit looser throughout the night. Mike?
The 99 team inspected the right side wheels. They stalled it this time down pit road. They're having a problem. They wanted to make a 4-tire change. They'll have to back up Carl Edwards. This will cost them even more time. But as we were mentioning, the right wheels that came off in their last pit stop, there were no problems with them. So rather than take a chance, they wanted to bring them back down here, change all 4, and try to correct that vibration. But kind of an awkward pit stop there, guys.
And they need to clean it up a little bit on pit road because that's kind of what brought him down the first time under green. He saw a mistake right there, just trying to get him off pit road and put him in a position to get this lap back.
So again, Carl had a problem with a vibration or what he thought was a tire going down on the right side. Came down pit road on lap 52. Then there was the impact with Allmendinger on lap 53 while Carl is leaving the pits. And they're telling his crew chief there, Bob Osborne, that Carl did not get the free pass, that they froze the field and he's a lap down.
He'll get it explained to him right here.
Yeah, they're going to let him know, but he's not understanding it at all right now. And what they have to do is really work on this pit sequence. And this is a long race yet, and they need to make sure that they get their act together. And this is how you lose championships.
Well, this has everything to do with this discussion about where these guys are pitted. They're pitted beyond the start-finish line. That means they have to beat the cars to the end of the pit road. And if they were pitted before the start-finish line, all they had to do was just cross the start-finish line, the center of the pit road.
A.J. Allmendinger brought out the caution flag, and he's now standing by with Shannon.
Doc, it was a one-race deal for A.J. Allmendinger in this 00 car. Very hard hit. Are you all right, A.J.?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just sorry for everybody at Michael Waltrip Racing and Champion Mortgage Toyota. You know, it's not what they paid me to do. And thought I had the middle was open. Regan kind of got wide, and Chad was a little bit slow on the bottom, and I thought the middle was open, but I think Regan came down a little bit, but more than anything, I was just probably being not patient enough that early in the race. They guys made a good adjustment on the pit stop and wanted to get up there in the front and kind of get out of the danger zone and get lapped if we went green for a while, but just feel like an idiot, honestly. That's not what I didn't want to do that for these guys, and I just probably wasn't patient enough. I feel bad. It's all me.
All right, the good news for A.J. Allmendinger is he will be back in a car next week at Martinsville in that number 10 Gillette Everhome Motorsports car.
Yeah, he will have that ride the remainder of the year. And then questions for 2009. I understand he might have a couple of options. A very talented young driver. Completing lap 58, Jimmie Johnson will lead him down. We have 34 cars on the lead lap. Jeff Gordon, the final car on the lead lap. Here comes Jimmie, Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, and Jeff Burton.
As you watch these cars, you see Carl Edwards has got 5 cars in between him and being that car for the free pass. You can see him down on the bottom there. So he's going to have his work cut out for him in trying to get in that position that Jeff Gordon got himself in position before that last caution. He's going to race hard. He has a good race car, and we have a long race. We're only 60 laps into this 334-lap race. There's plenty of time to make it all happen.
We just joined our coverage. We've had 3 different leaders, 4 lead changes. Jimmie Johnson led the first 8 laps, and Tony Stewart led the next 12. A.J. Allmendinger actually led during the pit stops for 1 lap. And Jimmie Johnson back the leader now. They're 3 wide on the straightaway here.
Right there's the risk that's involved here. He's going to have to race these lap cars. They're not going to give him anything. He's going to have to race them for these spots.
43 car Bobby Labonte and the folks from General Mills and Cheerios painting this car pink for a very special cause.
Yeah, it's breast cancer awareness month, and Bobby Labonte, his team, Kyle Busch and his team, and Elliott Sadler and his team all have some pink on their cars. Bobby Labonte is mostly pink this week, and you know, we've supported the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation for many years, and all of these guys are in the act, and these race teams and sponsors. Great effort on their part. Dave?
And working this weekend with crew chief Jeff Mendering, they've been battling between a car that's good in but tight in the center, or a car that's really loose in and good in the center. Early on in the run here, they've gone the faster route, loose in and tight in the center, but they had to take a little bit of that back out just to give the driver a little more comfort.
43 car being shown back in 14th position. Pretty good group here. The 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. up in 6th. Boyer back in 7th. The 5 car of Casey Mears is being shown a lap down. Remember, Casey's Cup win came here at this racetrack back in the spring of 2007.
Oh, trouble.
84 car, Mike Skinner and Schrader.
Crash of 1 and 2.
Two veteran drivers getting together right here early in the race. That's kind of not typical of these guys to get into a problem this early in a race.
And not a lot of give and take out there right now. We see a lot of 3-wide racing and guys making some moves that getting them in trouble.
Mike Skinner filling in that 84 car. Scott Speed will take over next week. There is Kenny Schrader, former winner here at this racetrack. Let's show you what happened to these two veterans.
Well, speaking of 3 wide, here they are again.
Somebody
sticking in.
There's the problem. Michael Waltrip got into the grass. Then Kenny didn't give him quite enough room right here. That will move. That calls for a little give and take getting down into turn 1.
Does that, and these guys are racing awfully hard early in this race.
It surprises me that these veterans are doing this. I mean, Kenny Schrader knows better than to jump out on the outside of these guys early in the race. I think right here, Kenny might even be a little bit upset with Mike Skinner not knowing why he got forced up into it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he saw all of what took place to get Mike to that point.
Now from Michael Waltrip's on board.
Clear low.
Michael getting a run here. Kind of ran out of racing room there as far as the
Still out
asphalt
there.
goes.
Still 3 wide. 2 wide.
Well, Michael made a little room for himself.
Wall behind.
Damage on the right side. Here's the 11 car of Denny Hamlin. Remember the hard lick he took at Talladega while leading when he had a tire come apart.
He's given up the 8th spot to come down pit road.
Kevin Harvick also in. Shannon.
Kevin Harvick says this car is terrible. It is plowing. They are going to go 8 rounds up on the track bar, guys. This car is not good for this 2019 for Kevin Harvick. Dave?
Nothing that drastic for Denny Hamlin at this point, Shannon, but they did want 4 fresh tires and to top this car off with fuel. Seems guys like some of the guys want to get off cycle with the other competitors on these pit stops.
The only problem, this is a decent strategy, but the only problem with it is you get behind a lot of cars and you can put yourself in a bad spot.
Working caution for the 3rd time tonight. There have been a total of 12 laps under the yellow. Back with more from Lowe's Motor Speedway in just a moment.
Starting at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS. So Carl Edwards is a lap down back in 36th place. Let's listen.
You gotta ask one more time. There's just no way you can. How can I say you lose it after the yellow? It's a joke. This is unbelievable. They said we didn't beat the 48 to the end of pit road when the caution came out.
Now Carl's still trying to figure out, along with his crew chief Bob Osborne, how they wound up a lap down. Just to re-explain the rule, there are 2 lines on pit road that when you're on pit road, Carl's fumbling with a lot of switches there.
Can't get that car to crank. It won't fire.
See how to power?
The restart deal.
Yeah, you can hear it turn it over. It's not cranking.
He's lost the ignition system. He's trying to switch boxes and get this thing fired back up. It's not listening.
Working either.
Well, this is a huge mistake, right? Or a huge problem for Carl Edwards.
Looks like they're calling off the restart right now. He's trying to get it fired up. It can be a couple different things.
Gauges say about anything? They're dead.
He might have hit the button on the
No, we
steering
got
wheel
power to the car. All the
accidentally.
fans work. Everything works. Just no ignition, no spark. All right. We'll try to get pushed down pit road here, pull the hood, see if anything's loose. Here comes a tow truck. They're going to give you a shove here. He's about 100 yards back. Guys, we're going to open the hood up, see if any wires are off. Somebody needs to go, Jason. Need to go in the side of the car, make sure all the stuff's connected to the coil and boxes and all that.
All right, so you see Carl Edwards' car going to get pushed back onto the pit road. He's going to lose another lap here. And Rusty was about to talk about a button on the steering wheel. Let's go to our Chevy Cutaway car. Tim Brewer, want to show us what that's all about?
Thanks, Alan. Right here's the kill switch, folks. When you activate that switch, it shuts down the ignition system. But what they need to do is go back over here and disconnect it, put their bypass switch right here, go back through the ignition system, make sure that they're on ignition 1, the primary ignition, and try to fire the car. If they're not successful with that, what they might need to do is go to the backup system. But you have to make sure that these switches are implemented properly, because if you have got them crossed up, the thing's not going to fire.
And just to reiterate what that switch is for, that's a safety feature NASCAR mandates on the
None of
car.
the wires look bad in here. They all look good. It could be just a switch or something under the, in the engine compartment.
It's a safety switch that in case a driver goes into the corner, lifts his foot off the gas and the throttle hangs, he can shut the engine off in a hurry without having to reach up to the dashboard for the ignition switch.
Absolutely right. But Carl's a pretty smart guy. There's no doubt about that. I'm sure he's went through everything on the switches, and he's trying to figure out, get it in sequence. Mike, what's it look like down there?
Well, they're going to pop the hood, Rusty. They're going to look at all the wires to see if anything has either melted or come disconnected underneath the hood. Roush's engine guy there, Mike Messick, is over the wall as well, taking a look, trying to investigate the situation, but obviously not where they need to be. They've had all kinds of problems tonight between a vibration and now this electrical problem, so they're going to try to diagnose it now.
Probably this damn switch right here.
Carl Edwards and mistakes and issues and problems. They had a tire vibration loose, come down, lose a lap, had to come back in, left a lug nut off the left front, and now the car has just quit on the restart. He is now 2 laps down and still sitting in the pits.
This is huge. This has got huge implications for Carl Edwards and this team for their fight for this championship. They're really feeling the pressure here. This is, you hate for something like this to be taken you out of it.
Second in the point standings, coming into tonight just 72 points back. He is on pit road. The guy he was chasing, Jimmie Johnson, will lead him down. Tony Stewart second, Greg Biffle in third, Jeff Burton fourth, and Kyle Busch is now fifth. Greg Biffle will now move in the second position in the point standings, 107 points back. Burton is third, the 0-7 of Boyer up to fourth. A huge lick for Carl Edwards here, still sitting on pit road.
See Tony Stewart's cleared the lap car of Casey Mears. Has his sights set on Jimmie Johnson now. He'll be able to run many laps in a row here since we went with that first caution. Had a couple of incidents since that time.
5 car Casey Mears is the first car a lap down. He's going to try to hang there so he can get the free pass if he were to get another caution flag, or maybe even drive this car back by the 2 leaders in front of him.
And Casey's car looks pretty good. You see him hanging right with Jimmie Johnson and Tony Stewart right now.
I don't know how he lost a lap. As fast as his car is right now, he's hanging right with these guys.
Ken Schrader, the 96 car, has been taken now back to the garage area, involved in an impact a moment ago with Mike Skinner, which brought out the 3rd yellow of the night. Side-by-side action there. Lap car, it's Tony Raines on the inside. The 6 of David Reagan in the middle, and the 9 of Casey Kane looking back from Casey.
Mark Martin's now in the top 10.
There's Mark right there on the inside of Dave Blaney.
We'll check that last lap out of Jimmie Johnson, 29.54.
Mark Martin in the 8 car, 4-time winner at this racetrack, will run 3 more races this year at Atlanta, Texas, and Phoenix, and then turn the car over to Eric Almirola for the remainder of the year. There's our in-race reporter, Casey Kane. Won here back in May. Now being shown in the 10th position.
That's the lap car of Tony Raines right behind him, and right behind him you could see Martin Truex Jr. with a good run here. Casey looks like he's got his car going pretty good right now.
Checking on Casey Kane. Shannon.
Well, Casey does have that car going pretty good right now. On the first run earlier in the race, it was a little free, but he was battling some tight conditions through the turns. They made some air pressure adjustments to the right side of that car, and Casey's pretty happy with that car right now, guys. He said it's good.
'76 of 334 laps. Carl Edwards in the pits. We are watching Carl Edwards' championships hopes evaporate. He is still sitting there being shown now some 8 laps down. Mike.
And big changes. Mike Messick, the engine guy for Roush Fenway, was asking for some spark plugs. They wanted to see if they were getting a spark from the distributor at all. He got absolutely nothing. You can see now as you look inside that race car, they're changing out ignition boxes. Still, they've been unable to get the 99 refired. This looks like a very dire situation, championship-wise, for Carl Edwards.
Carl had never won at this racetrack, but he also had never finished worse than 15th here. Lead change. Left side of your screen, Tony Stewart goes by the 48 and makes it look easy. Just sailed by.
He had been putting a lot of pressure on Jimmy Johnson. I think Jimmy just says, okay, I've got a nice little lead in the points. I'm not going to take too much pressure for this lead. If Tony wants it, I'll give it to him, at least early in the race.
Yeah, not at this point in time. He's not going to battle there. Tony looks like it takes about 7 or 8 laps for his car to really come in, and from that point on, this thing is a rocket.
By winning at Talladega last week, Tony Stewart gained 4 positions in the points, and now is already up a couple more by leading here.
See Kyle Busch here on the bottom. He's taken away that spot, the 3rd spot from Greg Biffle. Looks like he's got his car. We haven't said much about him tonight. Here comes Jeff Burton. He wants to get in on this action with Greg Biffle. Casey Mears once again is a lap down.
Greg lost a little momentum in that exchange with Kyle Busch. That let Jeff Burton catch right back up to him.
Here comes the 88 car in as well. Dale Earnhardt Jr. now closing in on Burton.
How aggravating is this, Dale, when you've got a lap car, Casey Mears, and you're trying to get this spot and you need some room? How aggravating is that?
Yeah, it makes it tough. It makes you put a little bit more pressure on yourself to make that happen, and you just have to be careful not to go over that edge. You hope that guy gives you a little bit of a break, and it looks like that's exactly what Casey did for Jeff Burton right there. That's his teammate coming up behind him. Dale Jr. moved back to that high line. Man, he's close to the wall.
Looks like his only good line for Junior is up high. Even if there's an opening on the bottom, he doesn't seem to be going for it.
Earnhardt Jr. in 6th position. Behind him, you see the 07 starting to move in a little bit. Clint Boyer in 7th spot. The black car. There's the 07, and Mark Martin right behind him in 8th position. 81 laps are in the books, and now Tony Stewart has led twice for 16 laps at Lowe's Motor Speedway, and Carl Edwards still in the pits. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Working lap 87 of the Bank of America 500 in Charlotte. Tony Stewart has now pulled away to a 3.2 second lead over that car. Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch is 3rd, Greg Biffle, and Jeff Burton rounding out the top 5. The 99 car of Carl Edwards has finally pulled back on the racetrack. He is being shown 16 laps down in 39th position. Mike.
And Doc, you can imagine the disappointment down here. Jack Roush with me right now. What have you been able to determine was the problem?
Well, we're not quite sure what the problem was. As they started working on it, it either could have been the ignition interrupter system, which shuts off the ignition, or something in the instrument panel and or the ignition boxes. They pretty much figured out that determined it was not the interrupter system. but they wound up changing both ignition boxes and the wiring harness that controls it, and then magically it had ignition again. But it had no ignition on either box, and the initial diagnosis was that everything was dead. But they made a massive change of a modular electrical unit, and now it works. So we'll see what happens.
Obviously, this is the last thing you wanted to see happen under these circumstances, being in the chase. Can you give me some perspective? What's this like with 6 races remaining, with a possible title on the line?
Well, I'm sorry, Mike, I can't understand what you said, but it was obviously bad for our prospects for the championship. You know, we need, you can't afford 2 mulligans in a row like this, and we'll just have to see what happens. I certainly don't wish anybody else bad luck, but we're going to have some bad luck spread around before we can get back into it with the 99.
Disappointed team, Doc.
Here are the point standings as of right now. The 48 car, Jimmie Johnson, talking about the chase standings now. Biffle would be in second position now. You see that Carl Edwards would have gone back to 6th spot. He lost 4 spots. He is some 206 points back in the chase point standings with now 5 races to go, but still a long way to go tonight. He's being shown 16 laps down in 39th position.
When Tony Stewart's gone, look at these lap intervals. He's up to 4.5 seconds in the lead right now over Jimmie Johnson.
The only 2 cars that are running close to the lap times are Kyle Busch in 3rd and Greg Biffle in 4th, and they're generally at least 1/10 of a second off per lap from what Tony is running. You can see the 48 of Jimmie Johnson in 2nd. That's Kyle Busch right there in 3rd.
Traffic's not a factor. You can see those guys running by themselves.
Kyle Busch dominated the NASCAR Nationwide Series race here last night, led 4 times for 137 laps, including the final 31. More on Kyle with Dave.
Doc, he's picked up 2 spots since that restart, and that's really good news for these guys. Crew Chief Steve Addington told me this morning that the problem with this car this weekend has been overall speed, especially at the get-go. He said after the first 12 laps, we're fine, but it's those first 12 that have really been giving us a problem. They've adjusted on this race car, and the fact that he passed Greg Biffle and Jeff Burton after the restart is a good sign.
That's something that's a little bit different with this race team. We're so used to seeing them be so fast on the start, and now they're having to adjust a little bit to get their car faster on fresh tires.
Yeah, he's usually a rocket ship no matter what tires he's got on.
Yeah.
He's pretty fast. He's only about 1/10 of a second off his teammate Tony Stewart right now.
Here's the rocket ship, though, Tony Stewart. Jamie?
You got that right. He's in one good mood, too, Doc. He said the balance is okay on the bottom. He's just a little loose in the middle. But I have a question for you, Andy and DJ. I talked to Greg Cipotelli, his crew chief, today, and he said we decided to bring a brand new car to this racetrack. We didn't even bring a backup because we wanted to put all of our eggs in this one basket and get this car right. So far, they've gotten it right. But what do you think about taking a gamble like that in the chase, guys?
I love new cars. I would rather bring a new car to the racetrack every week if I could. You put everything you learn into new cars, and there's nothing like new parts. You know, these guys put these cars together so well, and they're very professional. I don't worry about bringing a new car to the track at all.
What does it say about Joe Gibbs Racing and the fact that this guy's only going to be with them 5 more races, and they build a brand new car for Tony Stewart to be able to maybe be competitive and have a shot here in these final races down the wire?
Yeah, just the competitive race team they are. They're going to keep battling the entire time, and they're going to give Tony Stewart whatever it can take to win.
Give a call to Jeff Gordon in this 24 car. You talk about comebacks. We're just 96 laps in, but folks, if you just joined our coverage, he busted the wall on lap 1, again on lap 3, made a pit stop on lap 10 because of the damage on the right side for tires, got a lap down, got back on the lead lap, and has now driven this car all the way back to 17th position.
This is the very first one when he comes off turn 2 just a little bit too high and bounces into the concrete. Didn't hit it very hard there, but this one right here is a pretty big lick.
Yeah, that sent him to the pits. Had to change tires. Got him back out a lap down. He was actually back in 43rd spot. Dave?
And DJ, he's picked up 6 positions since that restart. So they've gotten this car a little bit better. Remember, they put that spring rubber into the right rear to help the car turn a little bit better. And this is a race car that they really trust. They've run it a bunch of times this year and have been very successful with it. Still looking for that first win of 08, though.
Well, it didn't look like the prospects of that were going to happen at all early in this race, but you know, not saying that they've got a race car they can win, but they have given themselves at least a chance back on the lead lap and moving forward.
Tony Stewart turned his season around a week ago, snapping a 43-race winless streak at Talladega. Now trying to get win number 2 on the season here in Charlotte. Trouble here. Car in the wall. It is Dale Earnhardt Jr. has hit it a ton.
Unbelievable. Pitting in 1 lap.
Another right front tire down. They said they were pitting in 1 more lap.
4th caution flag tonight, and that's exactly what happened here in the spring, although it wasn't nearly that severe. He cut the tire, kept it out of the wall. Now he is hit heavily damaged there on the right side.
It looks like we're going to be into a window. We're right along with Dale Jr. here.
Man, but it's tight about at the 60% mark of the corner. Right about. Blow time. Stay high there. Stay high. Stay high there. Got a lot of cars coming here still. Stay high. Stay high there. I'll get you down as soon as I get her hole here. Unbelievable. Pitting in 1 lap.
So now 2 chase contenders. 2 of the heavy hitters here that have had good runs at this track over the years, having trouble here in the first 103 laps.
And Junior was talking to his crew, giving them a play-by-play of what was happening with his race car through the corner until he blew that tire.
Yeah, they could actually hear the tire blow because he had his mic keyed, trying to tell him what the car was doing.
Leaders in the pits. Let's go down to Jamie.
Tony Stewart pulls in. He was giddy over the radio, very happy with the car. No adjustments, 4 tires for smoke in the 20 car.
18 car of Kyle Busch was just a little bit tight in the center of the corner. They're going to reduce the air pressure in that right front tire. Possible 2-tire stop. Keep your eye on the 18 there as we look at the 48 down on the bottom. Jimmie Johnson's going to get a chassis adjustment on that race car. He's going to get a 4-tire change, and he is going just a little bit tight in the center of that car. That's the correction they're going to make for the 48. Here comes the race off pit road. 18, 20, and 48. Very close.
Boy, looks like the 20 will get it by inches over Kyle Busch and Jimmie Johnson. Jeff Burton will gain a spot. Biffle back a couple. Kurt Busch up 3 positions for the Penske boys. Watch this race off. How close was it?
Oh, it was close. I thought Kyle Busch was going to get him at the line.
Wow. Got him by a bag of M&Ms. Oh, close.
Oh, that close.
Back with a restart here at Lowe's Motor Speedway in a moment. Thanks, Matt, here in Charlotte. Matt Kenseth has stayed on the racetrack, and he is being shown as the leader here under caution for the 4th time tonight. Let's visit with our in-race reporter, the driver of the 9-car, Kasey Kahne, being shown back in 15th spot.
Kasey, Dale Jarrett, ESPN, you happy?
Yeah, I got you.
Kasey, can you tell us what you're battling with your car out there tonight?
Yeah, I'm struggling getting into the corner a little bit. I feel like I'm turning my hands too far, and I'm just tight. And then seems like it's heating up the right rear tire after a while on the run, just with being tight, which is kind of different than usual. But that's what it feels like. So we're just trying to get it to cut better, get down to the white line better, and be able to get back to the throttle and stay there.
What kind of adjustments are they making for you to correct that problem?
So far with a little bit of air pressure in the front tire and some wedge out the back. So we'll see. This was the wedge. We'll see if this helps. Still a long race. Still got lots of time to keep adjusted and try to find the sweet spot for tonight.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kasey. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hey, Kenny Francis, Andy Petrie up here in the booth. Have you got us?
Yeah, I got you, Andy.
Seen a few of these right front tires go down tonight. What do you think so far about that?
Well, I don't know. You know, our stuff looks pretty good. We haven't seen any issues on ours. We know better than to be aggressive on that right front tire here at Charlotte. So hopefully we'll continue to have good luck with it.
You think that's what it is, that some guys are just a little bit hard on that right front camber-wise and maybe causing some of their own problems?
Well, like I said before, this tire's this track's probably the most loaded track we go to on the right front, so it's the most abusive to it, and it's really high corner speed. So I think Goodyear's got a great tire here. You just, you know, you just want to remember where you're at. You're a really fast track with a lot of load, so you got to be careful with it.
Okay, Kenny, thanks for talking to us. Good luck.
All right, guys, appreciate it.
Let's go down to Shannon Spike, who's caught up with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr. running 6th when that tire damage. Junior, can you tell me what you felt inside the car when that tire failed?
Pow, and then it went into the wall. About like every other tire, it blows.
Was there any indication leading up to the failure that something was going wrong?
I'd have let off. Hell no. I'd have slowed down if I knew the tire was going to blow like that.
Can you just describe the racing out there tonight? Can you describe the racing out there tonight? Was maybe the tire failure maybe an indication of the type of racing that we're seeing out there?
Do what?
Can you just describe the type of racing out there tonight? Was it battling that might have led to this tire failure?
No, I was riding. I was taking it way, way easy. And looked like everybody else was too. It's a long race, and we just all kind of riding around, just waiting till the end.
All right, Dale Earnhardt Jr. released from the Infield Medical Center.
Thank you, Shannon. With the 17 car now coming back down pit road, Tony Stewart reassumes the lead here in the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte, but the 18 car in hot pursuit.
You know, one guy's not going to be able to ride around here is Tony Stewart with that his teammate Kyle Busch on his bumper. Kyle hadn't had much success in the chase so far, so he's wanting to get back to his winning ways.
Well, he's there too now. Look at him right here, coming off turn 2. He's pushing hard.
Had it hung out, didn't he?
Kyle Busch hung out.
Yeah, that's, I know.
Here he goes.
I think Tony might let him have this battle for the time being. We said earlier that Tony's car took 7 or 8 laps. We see Jimmy Johnson wants to get in this battle too, have a little fun.
And I want to get this little Chevy up there and play with those Toyotas.
I'll tell you who's impressed me is Clint Boyer. He didn't have a practice, or his practice session went so bad yesterday. He ended up crashing the car, and here they've got it fixed, and he's up here in the top 5. He's really impressive so far.
And they were thinking about going to a backup car. NASCAR wouldn't let him because he pancaked the right side of that car.
But I hand it to Gil Martin and his whole crew for putting this car out here this competitive today.
Yeah, nice job.
Couple of cars working their way up. Jeff Gordon and Casey Kane. They are 15th and 14th.
Tony Stewart having a little problem off turn 2 now. Gets passed by Jimmy Johnson all of a sudden. This 20 car just went straight up the racetrack. If he's got a problem or if he just let Jimmy go, but he went up the racetrack pretty fast and gave the spot to Jimmy.
Tony has lost the lead and second spot in that much distance in a lap and a half to Kyle Busch.
I think Tony knows he's got a good car. If he has anything right there that's not feeling exactly right to him, then he's not going to press the issue right now.
See him wiggle it coming up off the corner like he turned the steering wheel.
He's got something he doesn't feel good about. He's trying to feel it out and just see if it's just something that really is a problem or if it's just a funny feel. We saw last night Jamie McMurray came down pit road, thought he had a flat tire, and the tire really wasn't flat. So Tony wanted to make sure there's nothing wrong before he comes down pit road.
Yeah, you can get just a set of tires that there's nothing wrong with them. They just don't match up as well as what you would like, and when you put them on the car, you think everything's there. All the codes and everything tell you that they're just like what you've had on, but it may not feel that way on the car.
He's monitored his radio. He's not said a word about it yet.
We're probably a lot more concerned than he is right now, actually.
Back to the 24 car, and now with the 99 Edwards having trouble and the 88 Dale Earnhardt Jr. having trouble. Jeff Gordon dodged a couple of bullets early on after losing that lap, trying to get back in this thing.
You can see here they are, he and Casey Kane battling with David Rudiman. You can see David's been into the wall earlier in the race. They came down pit road a couple times and worked on it, but he's got himself up there battling. He's in 14th right there. Jeff Gordon taking that spot away from him. This is pretty impressive. Jeff Gordon able to drive around with this car as hard as he hit the wall in those first 3 laps 2 different times.
No give up in Jeff Gordon right here. He's still going for it, going for another spot.
And we asked Jeff Gordon about that, about not in the top 3, but you know what? Anything's possible here. He's been there before.
This hasn't been our best year. We're not one of those top 3 guys. You know, we're not Carl, Jimmy, and Biffle at this point. if competing with those guys is what it's going to take, then we got a lot of work to do. You know, but we did show some signs of that last week at Kansas, and so anything's possible.
A 35-race winless streak. He has not won a race since this race a year ago. But as he said there, they started to come on the last 4 or 5 races.
Tony's got a problem here. He's getting passed again.
More on Tony Stewart. Jamie?
Well, he just came over the radio and said, I'm just loose, guys, loose. Greg Zipadelli said, we didn't change anything, man, so we need to just keep an eye on it. Tony Stewart continuing to slip back and lose some positions.
Yeah, I talked to a few guys after practice yesterday, and they were saying that there's a little bit of inconsistency with the tires. You could have, get your car set up on one set and you change sets of tires and not change anything about your car, and it'd be totally different, whether it was loose or if the car really got to where it wouldn't turn in the center of the corner. So I think that's what Tony is experiencing right now, Jared. Greg Zipadelli say that they did not make any changes on this car that was just dominating before this.
That's so frustrating for a crew chief. They have a dominant car. They've led all these laps. They had a 6-second lead before the caution came out. Put a set of tires on it, and now he can't stay hardly in the top 5. He's struggling just to stay there. He's 7th right now.
Yeah.
Pretty good car in front of him, Brian Vickers in the 83. And you were talking about how you thought this guy could be one of the big-time sleepers tonight.
He's always a sleeper at this track. He can sneak up on you. He's very good at this track. He's running the high line right now, which is where he really likes to run here.
Yeah, he led 61 laps of the race back here in May.
I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Vickers is kind of taking it easy here right now. We've seen him in the last few races here at Charlotte really jump out here and be a factor early and lead laps, but always having some problems then. So he might be kind of letting this race come to him and not get too excited. You see him pull right up on the bumper of David Reagan, who's our 5th place car right now.
We mentioned the fact that he had such a good car here back in the spring, had led over 60 laps, and then suddenly he had tire issues. Left rear tire and wheel comes off.
Yeah, that was really not a tire issue as much as it was a pit crew issue. They didn't get it tight on the pit stop, and he ran it just a little bit longer than he probably should have.
Trouble in turn 2, and the 10 car spins across the racetrack. Mike Wallace in the Dodge, and that will bring out caution again.
He's got a right rear tire down.
We're still rolling, guys.
That's what created the spin.
Okay, this is going to be an opportunity for some guys up front now to maybe get 2 tires and pull a little strategy. These last cautions have come after long runs, and that doesn't open it up much for strategy, but you'll see some here maybe.
See what happened to Mike over there in between turns 1 and 2. Out above Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, gets into the wall just a little bit there.
Yeah, he could have lost a right rear tire. Or actually, they look up right there. He just maybe got loose. They don't like to slide very long before they blow out, so that's why you see the tires down now. That tread rubber is extremely thin.
Leaders pitted just lap 105, so just 16 laps to go. You're thinking some of these guys may come in and put some right sides on?
Yeah, I would. After what we've seen, we might see, like you say, you might see some just come in here and get right sides, or you might see someone stay out. Yeah, Kyle Busch is going to be the kind of one they'll key off of right here.
Yeah, be taking a pretty big chance with some of the problems that we've seen so far, whether they have an issue or not. I don't think you take that chance at this point in time of the race. You see everybody coming onto pit road right now.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, the Pied Piper, they're all going to follow him down. 45 miles an hour. Shannon?
No changes for the 6 car of David Reagan. He says it's just a little bit on the free side, but it is starting to come to him, and those guys are on the right side of the number 6 car. It's 2 tires for David Reagan. Mike.
Before the race, Scott Miller, crew chief for Jeff Burton, said it's all about track position. That explains this gas-only stop on the 31, Dave.
Leader Kyle Busch wants 2 tires and fuel. That'll be the same for Jimmy Johnson. Not sure, he may have changed none. We'll check on that for you. All happening very fast down here.
So some strategy being invoked. No tires, fuel only on the 31 car. Probably the same for Jimmy Johnson. We'll update Kyle Busch back 2 spots by changing right side tires.
Next week, the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup moves to the short track in Martinsville, Virginia. Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ABC. Jimmy Johnson has won 3 of the last 4 Martinsville races, finished 4th there in March. We will find out how the short track scramble shakes up the standings. That's Martinsville next Sunday, 1 Eastern on ABC. Our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge, which chaser involved in the big one at Talladega last week has the best chance to bounce back in tonight's race? Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch, or Kevin Harvick? To play, text the word crew to 191 on your AT&T wireless phone. Send in your answer. The results shown later in the race, and standard text rate applies. Little strategy session there, Brad.
Well, it seems like everyone's going to come in and get a splash of gas on right side tires simply because, as we heard Kenny Francis say throughout the evening, it's just not as much pressure on the left side. But if everyone adheres to that, that policy and strategy, it doesn't change the field much.
Well, I tell you, I'm really impressed with Jeff Gordon's team. Clobbering the wall twice in the first 2 laps of this race, and now he's running 11th. He's doing a great job getting that car fixed and getting it back up there.
And the guy that's in the lead, Doc, played even more strategy to get that #1 spot.
Indeed, Ryan Newman just staying on the racetrack to be able to lead some laps here. By the way, the cars that took field only were the 31 of Jeff Burton, Johnson in the 48, of course, and Kyle Busch in the 18. Right side tires for Biffle and Tony Stewart, as well as David Reagan. See if Newman can hang on up front. Or if Jimmy Johnson will sail by on the bottom of the racetrack. Not going to happen there.
They had a nice run down into the corner, but Ryan Newman stayed in the gas on that high line, able to stay in front for the time being. Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch both coming. Jeff Burton right behind Kyle Busch.
How many times have we seen this clean air really bring a car to life? We're seeing that with this 12 car right now.
We really haven't paid much attention to Ryan Newman here tonight. He's been back in the pack and just running okay, but as you said, out front in that clean air makes a real difference. He's basically got the same tires. He's got less fuel than what those guys said he's racing right there.
Ryan Newman, a part of an announcement made earlier in the weekend. Of course, he will drive the 39 car for Stewart Haas Racing next year, and they announced the U.S. Army will sponsor that car for 22 points events plus the All-Star race next year. Let's get down to Mike and get an update from the 88 garage on the Earnhardt Jr. car.
Well, Doc, you can see Dale Earnhardt Jr. watching his team try to repair his machine. He was just recently over here looking at this. This is the tire. They do not believe it is a tire failure. See where the yellow circle is? Goodyear has identified this right here as a cut. They believe he ran over something and cut the tire. The reason they believe that is because it's cut in an area where the tire did not come apart. You can see that's around the casing here. So they do believe he ran something over rather than it being a failure.
But he hit that wall a ton when it was cut, and just that tire, the rest of that tire just gets shredded there. One of the cars that's making a move now is the car that was on the move prior to the caution coming out, the 83 car of Brian Vickers.
He's still on the move. Right on that white line now. He was running the top of the track right before that caution came out. Dave?
And one of the ways you know he has a good race car is when they don't make a lot of changes on it. And that's the way it's been most of the night with Brian Vickers. No changes on the last stop, and he steadily moved his way forward. You guys showed that video of that spring race and that stud issue that they had all day long that ended up with a tire coming off. They're a long way from that right now.
Yeah, he finished 42nd here in the spring. We saw the tire coming off. His best finish of the year was second at Pocono. Well, would he love to get one here? I mean, most of these drivers consider this one to be their home racetrack, so everyone gets aggressive trying to protect the home turf.
Yeah, that's the problem. All of them want to win here.
Let's see what he can do inside. Whoa.
Hey, he got Kyle Busch real loose right there when he got up on his bumper.
Now giving him plenty of room, and now Vickers will try to move in and reel in the 48 car.
Yeah, these things can change handling-wise whenever you leave the same tires on them, but you add fuel back to them. That puts more weight back there behind that rear wheels and can make these cars extremely loose if you're not careful. But it looks like it's helping Brian Vickers' car and maybe made a couple of these other guys loose. Ryan Newman, who stayed out there and doesn't have that extra fuel, but what a great job that he's doing. Again, we haven't really talked about him, but his car looks awful strong out front. Jamie?
Well, he really does, DJ. He started 16th, but the reason we weren't talking about him is because his car was horrible at the start. They threw everything at it. He said it was way too sensitive. They had too much right rear spring, made a track bar adjustment, air pressure adjustment, so they played a little strategy. But if you look at the records, he's He's had 7 poles here. Ryan Newman knows how to get around this track in clean air, loves running up front. They told me they're super fast up high, not so much down low, so watch him here as Jimmie Johnson looks to the outside.
We talked about how clean air was so critical here and what to watch for, getting the clean air and getting a chance to get the front of the car planted. Right now, the 48 car planting his car in front of Ryan Newman.
Yeah, he knows how important that clean air is. He wants some of it. He takes that lead away from Ryan Newman. Here comes Brian Vickers also. I don't think we've heard the last from Brian Vickers tonight. Now, he's got a good car.
Brian Vickers had a great car last week at Talladega. Thought he might be one of the cars to beat running second when he had a tire issue, and that triggered the first big one at Talladega. So he's not had the best of luck. He's had good race cars probably the last dozen races or so.
Yeah, we saw him go back to that high side that you were talking about earlier, Andy, and moving back up towards the top. There we see Greg Biffle and Jeff Burton going by. They're running 6th and 7th right now. David Ragan just in front of them. Here's a battle for the lead.
Vickers trying to become the 8th different leader here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, and he says if I go downstairs I think I got a pretty good shot of getting by that 48.
Wow, this is good stuff right now. 135 laps into this race, just over 200, just a little less than 200 to go. Brian Vickers wants these guys to know that they're going to have to contend with him tonight if they plan on winning. He's not worried about these guys racing for a chase. He wants to get to victory lane.
Yeah, it's been a long time, DJ. 59 races to be exact.
Nice job. Clear by 3. Get smooth. Nice rhythm.
Vickers' last win, Talladega, October of 2 years ago, 2006.
Now, this is really a great turnaround for this race team. We've said this a couple of times this year, but this is a second-year race team. They started from nothing. You know, they had trouble at times making races last year, as we see Kyle Busch take over the 3rd spot from Ryan Newman. But now they had themselves really in a chance, a possibility, speaking of Brian Vickers, to actually make the chase, and had a couple of bad races and weren't able to do that. But this is a team that we're going to have to watch for the next couple of years. I think they will have the capabilities of getting themselves in the chase next year.
They've come a long way, and they're getting better every week, too. That you see a steady improvement in this team week over week, and this is just a continuation of that.
Seems like he's been around a long time, but he's only 24 years of age. Former NASCAR Nationwide Series champion Brian Vickers, our leader. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
We are approaching the midway point of tonight's Bank of America 500 here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Brian Vickers in that 83 car, the 8th different driver to lead tonight. The race has been slowed 5 times by caution flags. 29 of the 43 starters on the lead lap. Big story tonight. Couple of championship chasers in trouble. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the garage after a crash. And Carl Edwards 16 laps down after some ignition problems left him on pit road for a long time. So there's Vickers, your leader. Behind him is teammate Mike Skinner in the 84 car, just back on the track. We look through some of the top 10 drivers and give you up to speed. Brought to you by Ford from Honda, 11th on back. There's David Rudiman, Jamie.
David Rudiman on the move, Alan. He hit the wall early in the start of the race. They had to make some adjustments, and they've just stayed patient with this car. It's a brand new car they brought here, and I talked to David earlier today, and he said this is an interesting track. It's a little tough for him, but they finished 10th here in the spring, so they're pretty confident about tonight. Behind him, Mark Martin in the 8 car. He was pretty good to start up, but now he said, you guys have tightened me up so much, I have a serious push, and it's killing me. Mark Martin, of course, 1 year 4 times, and his time is dwindling to get the first win for DEI. He has 3 more races after tonight. Dave?
Jeff Gordon runs behind him, Jamie, and you know, they made some adjustments on this race car that Jeff was pretty happy with. Listen to him on the radio.
Crush panel knocked out, you know, make sure you keep the fluids in you, that'll help you. Whenever you did that last time, I mean, we went from being one of the worst cars on the outside to one of the best cars.
Now, they've gone to being a little less of one of the best cars based on that 2-tire stop. Jeff complained just a couple laps ago, just too tight when we only changed 2 right-side tires. Right behind him is Denny Hamlin, who again is working this weekend a little bit sore, but otherwise healthy after that crash at Talladega last week. His car hasn't been that great all evening long so far. The last report from him, tight off the corner, runs toward the wall and then won't turn. They did take on 2 tires on that last round of pit stops. Jamie?
And behind him, Jamie McMahon McMurray really quick in practice. They were 7th and then 3rd in happy hour. Larry Carter, crew chief, told me they're running a little bit different setup than their Roush Fenway competitors, and they were looking for a good night tonight. Right now, pretty quiet on the radio for Jamie McMurray. Behind him, Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car. Steve, or his crew chief, Bono Mannion, told me earlier today they brought an R&D car here 2 weeks ago for the test. He said it's the worst thing he could have possibly done. He couldn't believe he did that to his driver. They were horrible, but now they're running 16.
When I talked to Jeff Mendering, crew chief for Bobby Labonte this morning, he said, we may not take on 2 tires or make a no tire stop, no tire change until later in the race. In fact, that's what they've done. They've taken on 4 every time Bobby's come down pit road. But he said, you know what? The 9 car of Kasey Kahne won here with a 2 tire, then 0 tire strategy at the end. So we know about that. We may hold on to that for the end of this race. Jamie?
And Paul Menard coming off his best finish ever in the Sprint Cup Series. He finished 2nd last weekend at Talladega. He says tonight they're pretty good everywhere, just a little loose off. That last pit stop took 4 tires for the 15 car. He's moving up. Shannon?
Jamie, terrible and horrible, 2 words that I've heard the team use to describe the 29 car of Kevin Harvick. I told you earlier in the race how they went 8 rounds up on the track bar to try to free him up. They did add that track bar back in over the pit stop. Right now, he's just loose. The team is going to go back to the track bar to try to get Kevin Harvick some grip on the next pit stop. Mike?
Shannon, in a lot of ways, this is a test session for the 42 team. Why? Well, Brian Patty told me this is a first-generation chassis, an in-house built chassis, the first one they've done. In the past, they've used Laughlin chassis. Not exactly sure how it would react. It's a whole new concept, but so far the car has been, well, modest at best. He's loose in, tight in the center, and still looking to crack the top 15. He hasn't done that yet tonight, Alan.
All right, Michael, thank you. And you might have caught a glimpse of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car. He is just back on the racetrack 45 laps down after repairs from his crash earlier. Brian Vickers is the leader, closing in on halfway tonight in the Bank of America 500 at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte. 150 laps complete, working 151 now. And Vickers has opened up a nearly 4-second advantage on second place. Boy, clicking air is king.
$155 laps complete here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. The 83 car of Brian Vickers is our leader. That's how long it's been since his last win. By the way, his very first NASCAR Sprint Cup start came exactly 5 years ago today. October 11th, 2003, here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Here's tonight's Aflac trivia question. How many NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champions actually got their first win right here at Charlotte? Now, this has been the home track for many, many teams over the years, and they've been racing here since 1960. Answer, there are the names. David Pearson in 1961, Jeff Gordon in 1993, Bobby Labonte in 94, and Matt Kenseth won here in 2000. So, 4 of them.
That means if you win here, you're pretty good.
Bodes pretty well for your future. Sure does. David Pearson didn't do a bad job on the Silver Fox. Battle for third shaping up here, guys. The 18 car and the 6 of David Ragan.
It's an impressive run tonight for David Ragan. And we talked about him before the show started and was wondering if this was going to be a night that he might contend for a win. And if it wasn't for Brian Vickers out there running away from this thing, he might be. But he has run down Kyle Busch. He's going to try to take that 3rd spot away from him.
What's been amazing is it's not been the same car, but this lead keeps getting stretched out. I mean, it's almost 6 seconds now with Brian Vickers out front. Saw Tony Stewart do that earlier.
Yeah, David Rudiman taking that spot away from Kurt Busch for that 10th spot. Nice run for David Rudiman in this UPS Toyota. As we said, he scraped the wall earlier. He had to make a couple of pit stops under caution to work on the right side and the right rear corner in particular of that car. But it's like he's handling pretty well right now as David's driven back into the top 10.
Nice little bounce back for David. While we were away a moment ago, by the way, the 42 car came on the pit road and made a pit stop. Juan Pablo Montoya, so he is out of sequence now with some of the other drivers like Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers, and the others up front.
Had a vibration, is what he called in, and came in and changed tires.
Now this 12 car, Ryan Newman, who's still out there in the 7th spot, and he's going to have to be coming in before too long because he didn't pit at all on that last caution.
You heard the old saying that winning begets winning. Well, we asked Jimmie Johnson about the fact that he's won championships over the year and how that helps him in terms of what he needs to do to be able to win more.
The experience of going through the chase, understanding the pressures, understanding what my mind does to me and the games it tries to play, the team knows. We've been here before, and that helps. It doesn't guarantee us a championship. I mean, we had to win our first at some point. So it doesn't guarantee us anything, but I think it does give us an advantage.
It does make a difference having all the experience and know how to handle the chase. Here's Ryan Newman on pit road. He's out of sequence. Remember, he stayed on the racetrack to lead those laps and held on pretty well with everyone else having fresher tires.
About 18 laps on his fuel load when those guys came down pit road, so that's why he's in a little bit early. These other cars can go about 15 more laps.
If we don't have a caution, this won't hurt him at all. It will be a good sequence for him, actually a nice move.
That's a big if, because we've seen the caution come after these long runs.
And he almost got one a moment ago from his Penske teammate, Sam Hornish, who was up across the racetrack and did a great job to keep it out of the wall. Here's a 16 car of Biffle in 4th position. David Reagan, his teammate, back in 5th. And Biffle, remember, is in 2nd place in the points, just 97 points back. There's a difference between him and Jimmie Johnson. Jeff Burton back in 3rd spot. Again, Carl Edwards now has dropped back to 5th in the point standings, and he is actually on the racetrack running in 38th position, 16 laps back. And again, by the way, Dale Earnhardt Jr. back out of the garage area, 45 laps down in 39th position. There's the 48 car, about 7.5 seconds back of the leader. Dave.
And Doc, we heard the comments of the driver about championship experience. Crew Chief Chad Knaus told me today, as far as how they play this game, sometimes they don't play it the most exciting way. Last week they had the option at the end of the race of not necessarily racing really hard because of the problems that the 60 to 99 had. They chose to play a little more conservative. Here, just think about Brian Vickers going by. They don't have to race Vickers. They'd like to win, but they're racing the guys behind them. The 99 is at trouble. The 16 is coming. The reason they want to get this car a lot better is to stay ahead of those guys.
And Dave, and last week we had 7 drivers in the chase involved that were going to finish 20th or worse at Talladega. Yet Jimmie said, I just want to survive and get these final laps in. Ended up getting a 10th or a 9th place finish. Here's the 20 car. Remember the restart, and the car said it was just very loose and he was just trying to hang on. Well, he's held on. He slid back to about 8th spot and has now moved up to 6th and is sort of hanging there.
He called in a few laps ago, though, said his temperatures were hot, that he's going to pit here in about 8 or 10 laps, and they need to get him cooled back down. But he is going the right way again.
Yeah, car seems to be a lot better. Lap times are a lot better. He's making passes on these cars and moving forward. Couldn't really see anything on the grill openings there that would lead us to believe that he's having a problem there with the temperature. Jamie?
Worried that something got on the grill, so the team was trying to check that out. We're trying to see it on our cameras right now, but he said yes, temperature's definitely up. They're going to try to hang on and pit in, like you said, about 8 laps. But as far as him going in the right direction, he said he just needed to hang in there and be patient because the car is actually coming to him. It was really loose, and that's what caused him to fall back a while ago. So they're just hanging on, and this longer run is definitely good for the 20 car.
It looks clean. There might have been something on the very bottom. You could kind of maybe see just a little piece right at the very bottom of it. And if that is, that could have created loose problems. And obviously the situation of running hot as we've reached the halfway point of the race right now.
Really hard to see the grill area with this new car because it's kind of tucked up underneath that front bumper. And it's kind of hard to get a camera angle on, especially when it's painted black like that.
Sigourney Weaver, Katie Holmes, and Seal are just some of the stars who can't wait to meet Eli Stone. The one lawyer worth believing is back for a spectacular all-new season. This Tuesday, Sigourney Weaver makes her network television debut in a season premiere event. ABC's Eli Stone season premiere this Tuesday, 10 Eastern, 9 Central on ABC. Brian Vickers, our leader here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, will be back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Welcome back to the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte. 173 laps in the books, just past the halfway point. Brian Vickers is our leader. We talked about what a difference a year makes. A year ago, that 83 car with Vickers did not even qualify for this race at Charlotte. He roars back with a vengeance. I remember having to go home and watch this one on television. Not that that's all bad, by the way. But now he's leading the race and going to try to make up for it by going to victory lane. How about a car on the move here, guys?
Yeah, Greg Biffle has driven his way up into second spot. He's still just under 9 seconds back of the leader. This car's been fast.
He's actually faster than Brian Vickers, but he has a lot of ground to make up. Here comes Jeff Burton down pit road.
Yeah, Bill Elliott just left a moment ago. He made a stop. Jeff trying to get this thing down to 45 miles an hour. Has had top 5 finishes for the last 5 times he has been to this racetrack.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of guys come on pit road now. Mike?
And Jeff Burton's car has been going through a swing of conditions. It starts off loose on a full fuel run and then gets tight toward the end when he burns off that fuel. Going for a 4-tire change. Here trying to stabilize that car a little bit this time, but Jeff having a real difficult time driving it with a full fuel load, Jamie.
And Martin Truex Jr. in, they said they want to put that air pressure back. That seems to be what everybody wants, is their air back in. Martin Truex Jr. 4 tires, he's down. And Greg Biffle, you guys said he's on a roll. The car is coming around to him. He's been complaining that he's extremely loose, though. So you're going to see him go around to the left side. He wants 4 new tires. No adjustments at the moment for Greg Biffle, who worked his way up to second before coming into the pits, Dave.
Jimmy Johnson's car was getting tighter throughout that run, especially in turns 1 and 2. He believed he was getting beat. And so they're going to change 4 tires on that car and make an adjustment.
Tony Stewart, remember you see them with that little device there on the front, rubbing the front grille, trying to get anything off to get those temperatures down. He's going to take 4 tires. He was loose on entry. They're going to tighten him up just a little bit for that 20 car.
A tight race car for the 18 of Kyle Busch. They'll make an adjustment for him. He said it was about an 8 tight in the center, a 6 tight off the corner for a guy that loves a loose race car. That's one that's really, really hard to turn. He leads pit road. Here's Jeff Gordon on pit road. That last 2 tire stop really hurt these guys. The car very tight at the beginning of that run, and then Jeff said, this is just getting us into trouble.
And Jamie McMurray there, you see them. They thought they had some damage early on in the nose, but it seems to be okay as Jamie has been in the top about 17, 18 all night. 4 tires again. That seems to be the strategy right now, guys.
Brian Vickers, a strong leader of this race, comes down pit road. He said the car was free as they get Sunoco fuel in this race car, but that's the way that I like it. So they'll just make a slight air pressure adjustment for Brian right now. Drew going to work. Remember when the Red Bull teams won the Pit Crew Championship earlier this year, right here in the Charlotte area, and they get him off pit road very sporty.
Vickers down and away. We saw that pit stop with Tony Stewart a moment ago, and he reached under the grill to try to pull some any debris out. Look like he pulled also a small sliver of tape off.
Well, if he was running hot and there wasn't any crash on the grill, that pulling that tape off will help cool the car down.
6 car, David Ragan, too fast entering pit road. And the 0-1 as well, Regan Smith.
That's too bad because David Ragan had driven way up into the field. This is going to hurt him a bunch to have to come down pit road at this speed.
Yeah, it's actually going to get him a lap down here. Brian Vickers just going by him before he can get off of pit road. It's unfortunate. Jamie was mentioning everybody changing 4 tires. What I was watching these guys come on to pit road off the racetrack, they were having to get 4 the way they were sliding the tires, smoke boiling.
And every time I looked up, I thought there was somebody crashing up there.
There's Regan Smith, who had that near miss. I mean, a great run. Can't take that away from him at Talladega, although he didn't get the victory and got penalized back to 18th. But he was there when the checkered was waving just a few feet away. Brian Vickers, after the cycle of pit stops, back up front.
He's only got a 6-second lead now, though. Greg Biffle's team made it about 2 seconds of that lead in that round of pit stop.
Yeah, and I was watching that too, that Brian Vickers that came in with some other cars and they kind of got slowed down and he really had to get woed down. So I think that's where he lost a lot of his lead. The way this car looks on the racetrack though, he might get back to the 8-second lead that he had before he came in.
Right now, Greg Biffle's running just a tick faster. lap times, but it is because of that traffic, I'm sure, that Brian Vickers is dealing with.
We ask you as part of our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge, which chaser involved in the big one at Talladega last week has the best chance to bounce back in tonight's race? Would it be Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch, or Kevin Harvick? How'd you vote? Well, very smart race fans, Greg Biffle, because right now he has got the quickest car by lap times on the racetrack, even quicker than the leader.
That's a good choice. He's been awful strong in the chase so far. Very impressive, and had another good run last week until he got involved in that late race incident.
Very disappointing for a number of drivers with what happened in the final laps at Talladega last week. Greg Biffle got a 24th place finish after having a top 3 or 4 car all day. We asked him about moving on from Talladega to this weekend here at Charlotte.
You know, we can analyze what happened so that we don't do that again. But to be pissed off at Carl, you know, or, you know, throw stones at somebody isn't going to fix our 75-point deficit. It's not going to get our car back on the racetrack, and it's not going to help us at Charlotte.
What can help him is running like he is right now.
That's right.
Yeah, stay focused, and that's what he's doing. This team has really matured well. And Greg Irwin's and Greg Biffle both have really got a great relationship. I think they're on the right track.
Yeah, I think that's what helps Greg Biffle too, is to realize that. Now, I'm not sure a couple of years ago he would have looked at things that way, but he's really matured too as a race driver, and I think that's what's going to help him have a good shot at winning this championship.
It's all about relationships and chemistry, and they certainly got it going there, Greg Irwin and Greg Biffle. Jamie.
They certainly do. And Greg Irwin was telling me today, said after what happened at Talladega, he said you just hate it for these guys. He said the drivers take it more personal, but we as crew chiefs, we have to work together every single day. So we have to look at each other on Tuesday morning and know it was a mistake on somebody's part. We all have to move on or it'll kill you. And especially being in this position in the chase, it can ruin you for the rest of the year. So they had to deal with it on Tuesday, guys, and we have debris, turn 3 and yellows out.
Yeah, Jamie, caution for the 6th time tonight up in turn 3. NASCAR's seen some debris on the racetrack. So here on lap 187, we'll wave it again.
It looks like that's going to get Casey Kane, who's gone a lap down, going to get him the free pass here. It's going to take away all of that big lead that Brian Vickers had built up.
Also puts a couple of drivers sort of back in sync a little bit. Ryan Newman, some of these guys that had pitted out of sync with the leaders.
Yeah, he and his teammate Kurt Busch are running 9th and 10th right now, so all of that worked out for those guys. David Rudman's worked his way up to 8th, so a very impressive run that he's had right here.
Casey Kane will make it now 21 cars on the lead lap as he gets the free pass. Our in-race reporter.
It's only been 7 to 10 laps since they were on pit road under green. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys do.
What would you do?
Well, if only run just 7 or 8 laps, I believe I'd just stay on the racetrack if I like my car. Brian Vickers is the one that's going to kind of key off of. A lot of guys will key off of.
Yeah, just stay out.
Yeah.
It was the 83 radio, so it looks like they're staying out.
Yeah, I'd have to say you'd have to be outside the top 10 before you'd even consider coming down pit road at this point in time, or either your car had to be really bad on that set of tires.
A couple of people faking to come down pit road. Mark Martin started to make that away, and they will stay on the racetrack, and some of the drivers toward the back of the pack will make a move. Under caution again. Back with more in just a moment.
You're learning all the time. It's not like people think you just go out there and run for 500 miles or something like that. You got to try to outsmart the guy and outfox him some way or another.
And who knows better than what you learn during a race here at this racetrack than David Pearson, the Silver Fox. 14 poles, 4 wins at this racetrack. Rusty, you're a 2-time winner here and a NASCAR champion. As you go through 500 miles here, what are you learning? What are the things you're figuring out?
You're definitely learning what your tires are doing, what kind of process your car is going through. If you started out loose and all of a sudden you get tight, or else the other way around. Alan, you're really understanding what your car keeps doing from pit stop to pit stop, and you're talking to your crew chief about how to fix that thing, and that's one of the most important things you can do. Stay ahead of this racetrack. But guys like Pearson, they were so good here, and I learned off of guys like that. I think a lot of drivers have.
You know what I noticed, Rusty, as we were sitting here and they came in on those last few pit stops, did you notice how red and how hot some of those right front rotors were on those brakes? Come here, look. I mean, why? You'd see that at Martinsville or Bristol. Why are we seeing that here?
Well, I tell you, these cars are so loose out there. They're slipping around. The front ends are pushing. The backs are sliding around. And Brad, the one thing you can do is sail them down the corner real deep. They get on the brakes to slow them down. They're using a lot of brakes here at Lowe's Motor Speedway because of that.
Coming up on 200 laps in this 334-lap event, Brian Vickers is the leader as we get set for the restart. Doc?
Less than 145 to go. Here's where the chasers are restarting here. In just a moment, you see that Edwards and Earnhardt Jr. back in 38th and 39th. Greg Biffle up in second position. He is the highest running chaser right now. And you see just 77 points back is Biffle in second place. Burton has moved up, as has Boyer, because of the drop of the 99 car of Carl Edwards. Pace truck pulls away. Let's listen in as we go full throttle.
Stay ready. Ready. And ready. Side to side. To side. Keep right on. Just two wide. Side. Clear. Still there. Still there. Oh, got one coming. Y'all are clear by 5 now, nice and smooth. It's out there now, outside. Clear by 5 over the 10. Still outside, got the 26 with him, outside. Inside. Inside. Clear by inside. Still clear. Outside corner. Outside.
Up front, Greg Biffle trying to move on the inside. He started on the outside on the restart, decided to come back down to the bottom of the racetrack to try to get Brian Vickers.
He wants those 5 points. You can see how hard he drove the car on that restart. All the way around there to turn 3.
31 car, Jeff Burton, also getting ready to reel him in a little bit here. He wants to get up there and join the fray. There's a 31 into your picture. Check in on Biffle with Jamie.
You know why he's driving hard on that restart? It's all about points. He wants to lead so he can get those 5 extra bonus points, guys. Every single point counts when you're in the chase, sitting second right now.
Trouble on the front stretch. Got Tony Raines into the outside wall.
And they clip the 17 to Kenseth, and he goes across and slams the wall. Hard impact by Travis Kvapil as well. Kenseth got turned, and the car came sideways and up into the wall. There is Kvapil, who also got turned head on into the wall. There's a 17 car. One of our chase contenders. Matt was 9th in the points.
It started with guys 3 wide off of turn 4.
It looked like it was just going to be one car.
Yeah, it looked like it was just going to be Tony Raines who got clipped. You see the 45 of Chad McCumbee has some damage. A lot of damage on the 28 of Travis Kvapil.
He hit pretty hard there.
It's the second week in a row a hard hit for him. Neither one of them his making.
70 car of Raines that got turned, and you see, fortunately, after that hard lick, Matt Kenseth trying to climb out. Yeah, the car up against the wall. He'll use the concrete to get around the car.
Yeah, second week of a hard hit for Matt Kenseth also. Neither one of his makings either. Wrong place at the wrong time for these guys, unfortunately.
And he's 26th at Talladega a week ago.
Wow. Just waiting on all the traffic to clear. The field is on the front straightaway. All the race cars are yielding to the safety vehicles.
They've taken the helmet of the Hans device off Travis Kvapil, talking to him in the car. And look at that part of the front splitter.
That thing is stuck in the ground.
This looks like a javelin. Wow. Stuck in the grass. There's Travis out of the car.
That's good to see because that was a hard lick.
Yes.
Show you what happened here on the restart. Lap 194 coming down. Watch the 70 car, the green car, top of your screen there.
Yeah, Paul Bernard gets on the top side of Bill Elliott, who then gets into the 70 car. Just kind of got squeezed in there. And Tony Raines wasn't doing anything wrong, just got turned. And then behind this, you can see the 28 and the 17 get together.
Watch the 28 come up and just hit the wall head on.
Wow. Oh. And that's not where they've got a lot of safer barrier on this front stretch through the tri-oval part, and that's what Tony Raines hit. I believe Matt Kenseth might have hit the safer barrier, but not the 28. He's down into the concrete there.
29, Kevin Harvick. Look at what he saw.
Yeah, he's right behind this. He saw everything going on.
Backing up in the middle. Backing up the middle. Go low, go low, go low, go low. Stay in it, stay in it, stay in it. Caution's out.
Sometimes you're better to be closer
Watch
to the
your back,
action
watch your back.
than you are 3 or 4 cars back.
Take a look at our Allstate Good Hands move of the race and watch Casey Kane get through this.
Back up, get low, get low, get low. Check up, check up. You're all right, you're all right. Get through there if you can, bud. Still got one inside. Keep coming, you're good. Man, that was too close for comfort.
And he moved up and just got moved up enough. The 28 came across and just missed the back of him by just inches.
Yeah, talk about good hand. Yeah, 2 cars right in front of him wrecked, so it tells you how good a job Casey Kane did right there.
Chad McCumbee in. He's the one that lost the splitter to try and replace the front splitter you saw there in the grass. Again, the cars involved, the 45. There's the splitter missing.
The whole lower half, and it's stuck in the ground. And that's, I believe that's the whole splitter that's stuck in the ground.
Still got the brace on it. So, cars involved, Chad McCumbee, Travis Kvapil, the 70 after contact with the 15 of Menard, Tony Raines, and the 17 of Matt Kenseth. At the start-finish line on the restart, lap 194, hard impact. Back in a moment. Back here at Charlotte, Matt, thank you very much. Lap 198 under caution for the 7th time. Hard impact on the restart involving 5 cars. Most heavily damaged cars are 28 and 17 of Kvapil and Kenseth. Here now the pit road is open. And Brian Vickers and the leaders, Biffle and company, will head down. Jamie.
Well, Greg Biffle wanted to lead a lap. It didn't work out yet, but he said he's still just a little loose, so they're going to make a wedge adjustment. And 4 tires expected for the 16 car up there in the upper left-hand side of your screen. Mike?
Jeff Burton still saying he's a little bit free on entry. They talked about a 2-tire change, switched off late and went fuel only on the 31, Dave.
2-tire change for leader 83 of Brian Vickers. Kevin Hamlin, the crew chief, knew that some would stay out. Some did, but they wanted to come down, put a pound of air into the right rear tire and loosen that car up a little bit.
Boy, a near miss on pit road coming off there. The 18 car and the 16 is going to get Burton up a couple of spots there. See Vickers back 5 on the race off of pit road. Boyer lost a spot. Pretty tight for second position. Here it is.
It was tight, all right.
Traffic jam coming off.
See Biffle just beating the 48 there. 20 and 18, they had Brian Vickers kind of boxed out. Brad Daugherty knows something about boxing out, and that's what these guys did to him right here. Watch.
Oh,
nowhere to go.
Kyle Busch through the pick.
Leaders on pit road, and the 1 car stayed out on the racetrack. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station.
6 and 7 have the right to restart the race in front of these leaders because they are technically on the lead lap by staying out, not pitting.
Wow, what a comeback night it has been for the 24 car and Jeff Gordon, who brushed the wall on lap 1, lap 3, made the unscheduled stop, got a lap down, and now they have worked on that car and he has driven it back to 2nd position.
He's doing a nice job. The car out front up there is David Reagan as we ride along with Jeff Gordon here, who's going to try to take the lead from Martin Truex. David Reagan's in that position because of a pit road speeding penalty that he received on our green flag pit stop. So he's trying to get back. He is up back on the lead lap, but he's going to have a little help with the caution at some point in time. Jeff Gordon.
Trying to follow Scott Riggs down below the 1 car. This is for the lead, 24 and 1. There comes the 8 car of Martin, the 31 of Burton, and the 16 of Biffle.
Yeah, both those guys would like to get to the front here. This is their opportunity to get to the lead, get those 5 bonus points. Wow, what a comeback for Jeff Gordon and this race team. We thought that, I personally thought that they were just out of the race after those 2 contacts with the wall and had to make that early pit stop under green.
After that second impact, I really thought they'd been a lot of stuff underneath the car. But, man, he's still running great. Dave?
And willing to take some, not so risky, but at least taking a chance with your pit calls. We got to crash, guys. We'll get back to that.
Yes, Bobby Labonte, Michael Waltrip.
Baby, you're going to be fine.
Casey Mears involved.
Bobby Labonte did a great job sideways, not to hit anything, come all the way through the grass and drove that car back and forth. So did the 5 car of Casey Mears.
Yeah, the 43 got hit first. I was watching again. These guys trying to race 3 wide off of this 4th corner. It's not working out for them. What did happen there is David Reagan got back on the lead lap. And I believe Robbie Gordon did also.
Now the 48 car was actually sideways in front of this. Let's watch the 48 here. This is right coming off the turn.
He's definitely sideways. See him chasing it up the racetrack, working hard.
Wow, he almost crashed right there.
There's Kyle Busch back there. Looked like Michael Waltrip and the 43 got together. I don't know if there's something on the racetrack there with all of these cars sideways.
Now Michael gets the 43, and Mears just tries to go through the grass to avoid both of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars that were sideways off of that corner. You just have to wonder if there was something on the racetrack there.
Jimmy got completely sideways.
All clear.
He was pedaling that.
Both sides, clear low, could stay there.
Michael Waltrip, watch him. There's the
3 wide
contact.
right there.
He got loose also. He just had to correct it right quick.
Sounded just the same as Jimmy Johnson here pedaling the car.
When we were watching Jimmy Johnson, we saw the 18 come off of there sideways too. I really believe something had been put down on the racetrack from another car.
Let's go down to Dave.
And if we watch the whole lap back, which we won't at this point, you might understand why Jimmy Johnson was so surprised. Listen to what he said on the radio.
It was great until right there through 4. I don't know if there was something on the track or what, but I did not expect that. I thought maybe the 41. I thought it was the 18 actually. I thought maybe he got up in there and got underneath me.
Remember, they had just gotten onto pit road. They took on 2 tires, and it made an adjustment for a car that was a little too loose, and it stuck until that point.
Well, when you see those cars just jump sideways like that and someone behind him, you just gotta, gotta think that then the guys behind them have issues of oil or something out of the car. Big break for David Reagan, as you said, DJ. He was in front of all this and able to get back on the lead lap. Or stay on the lead lap, I should say, as was the 7. Let's check in with Shannon.
This car has been pretty consistent for David Reagan all day. It was just a little bit snug, but he said leave it alone on the last pit stop, and he's down and away.
Robbie Gordon in the 7 car.
Pretty nice run for Robbie. His car's gotten a lot more competitive. He was off there at the first part of the race, but his car seemed to be a lot better as this race has gone on. They've made some adjustments for him, so he's back on the lead lap now.
Coming off that top 10 finish at Talladega. There's the 43 car, Bobby Labonte.
Reed Sorensen will get the free pass this time around.
Paul Menard, who had his career best finish last week at Talladega, having troubles. Hood down on Menard's car. Well, we mentioned our All-State good hands driver earlier was Casey Kane, once again having real good hands here, having to dodge the issues here at the start-finish line. Watch this 9 car. There's the 55, and he somehow goes above him and above the 43 of Bobby Labonte. Tank Star bringing on the wild. At Lowe's Motor Speedway, Jeff Gordon is our leader here with 125 laps to go under caution for the 8th time tonight. It has been an eventful evening here for the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars. Things can happen in a hurry. How about Chad McCumbee having issues after he'd been on pit road?
He already lost the splitter in that accident and stuck in the ground. Oops, who turned the lights out?
If you want to know where his splitter was, it's stuck in the ground here. And watch this guy. I mean, that is the whole splitter minus a few small pieces.
That thing was buried halfway in the ground. We have had a lot of rain here, so the ground was pretty soft.
Yeah, he got a lot of air, though, when he went across that one part of the asphalt there and then landed.
Jeff Gordon back up front. Remember, he stayed on the racetrack, and as did Mark Martin and Martin Truex Jr. Well, it's been a wild beginning for Jeff Gordon. A year since he won a race. Back on lap 1, he scrapes the wall. Lap 6 got it even harder.
After he hit it this second time, they had to come down pit road under green, lost a lap. It's been a good while trying to get it back, but here he is up front. Takes the lead right here from Martin Truex Jr.
And Jeff Gordon becomes the 10th different leader here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, now riding a 35-race winless streak. He and Jimmie Johnson, the winningest active drivers of this racetrack. They both won 5 times. Jeff Gordon's last win, as you saw a moment ago, came here just 1 year ago. For you Carl Edwards fans, we mentioned that Carl had issues with ignition problems. He's still being shown back in 37th position, 16 laps back. There is Carl. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in 39th spot after being in the garage area after that cut tire in contact with the wall.
Carl Edwards is going to gain a few spots after some of these cars just fell out of the race in this last wreck, so he'll gain a few more points.
Jeff Gordon stands to gain big if he can hang on and pull off the win. He restarts in first. They're back in 6th in the point standings. Greg Biffle really gaining 73 laps back of Jimmie Johnson. Biffle's got a good car as well.
Yeah, he sure does. And just before we go back green here, we talked about the other 2 cars, that David Ragan and Robbie Gordon, but Scott Riggs also got his lap back on that last deal. He had been a lap down, but was in front of the leaders, and so he's back on the lead lap also.
73 points, I meant, for Biffle back behind the 48 car, Jimmie Johnson. We've had enough laps as it is. Here we go. Jeff Gordon leading him down.
It'll be really interesting to see how Jeff Gordon's car reacts out front here. We've seen as these cars get to the front, that clean air has really made a lot of difference. Mark Martin looks like he wants to lead right now.
He might take that clean air away from Jeff Gordon.
Oh, nice move. Boy, got a good run off of turn 2 and down the backstretch. Jeff's not going to give up here. We heard him say his car was a lot better on the outside than what it had been. Whoa,
that's
close.
a tough spot right there.
Baby.
We've seen a lot of cars get loose when they're up underneath somebody like that off the corner, but Mark's still digging.
Remember, Mark will be Jeff Gordon's teammate next year, actually after 3 more races. Trying to run for the championship one more time. Right now, they're adversaries.
That's a nice move by a veteran right there, though, being able to hold that car and stay beside of Jeff Gordon.
You got to give Jeff Gordon a little credit, too. He was giving him just enough room. He's racing him hard, but...
And look at this stampede coming behind him. Here comes Biffle, the 31 car of Burton.
Yeah, you can see Mark get loose again on the inside of Gordon there, and it really cost him. It let Martin Truex get up on the inside of Mark Martin. A little smoke there, probably from the splitter dragging just a little bit on Mark Martin's car, but he's able to take that second spot back.
I've seen that the whole race out of the 8 car. He's been hitting that splitter, getting in the corner, mainly turn 1.
Gordon back out front here. He's got about a 8-10 car length lead now. These guys have gotten single file. Greg Biffle right on the bumper and now trying to go to the high side of Mark Martin to take the second spot.
And that was the last lap for Jeff Gordon, was his fastest lap of the race, 29.80.
Now Biffle will take that spot away. Martin back to 3rd. Burton, Truex, and Kyle Busch.
That clean air is worth more than 4 stickers.
Yeah, and
4 new tires.
These guys in the pits are paying attention to that, aren't they, when it comes down to making these final decisions late in the race. Biffle's taking that second spot.
Kyle Busch just kind of hung up behind traffic right here.
Yeah, you see our leader just a little while ago, Brian Vickers, right behind him.
These are 2 lap cars. They're now moving over for Kyle Busch, it looks like.
Yeah, David Gilliland back in the 25th position, a lap down, gets out of the way. Back up front, Jeff Gordon is the leader. Let's visit with his crew chief.
Steve, how did you guys build a car that would take such a pounding and still be this quick?
Everyone at Hendrick Motorsports, they put in a great effort to try to build reliable cars. That's the only way you got to score a lot of points. You know they're going to take a rough night, but the guys have fought all night long. Pit stops great. Drivers hung in there, so hopefully we can make something out of it.
So your anniversary of the last win, how good do you think the car is?
I think it's pretty good. I think we're going to need to work on it now that we're up here in the front. You know, they drive a little bit different in clean air, so hopefully these few runs here will give us a better direction. We can make some good adjustments, keep the track position towards the end.
Thanks, Steve. Great rebound so far, Doc.
And you know, I think the rebound for this team for Steve Letarte and Jeff Gordon actually began at Kansas a couple of weeks ago when Jeff Gordon was so sick. He said he had never been that sick, and yet climbed in the race car, didn't complain, and drove it to a top 5 finish.
Well, he's just an ultimate competitor, really. I mean, he's a tremendous race driver, and you know one thing about it, you're going to get everything from Jeff Gordon every time he gets in there. And you know, on that particular day, physically he didn't have as much as he normally has, but he was able to get the job done.
It's just like Doc said, I think that's about the turning point for the team. They had a great car that day, and that's what kept Jeff going.
And they were so pumped up when that race was over. Steve Letarte said, how about our little gladiator in the car? And what a job he had done here by getting a good finish. That 20 car of Tony Stewart was as good as on the racetrack when he was out front. But back here, guys, our expert drivers, he is struggling.
Yeah, he is just what he needs to do right now, guys. He's back in this dirty air, and he can't get the downforce he needs to get the job done. What he's got to do is just search around the racetrack for better aerodynamics. I mean, he can't be following the car. He's got to do what he's doing right there. Get up on top of the racetrack, get some momentum. Try to find where the car likes it best on the racetrack. And DJ, you well know that, man, you can move these things around and get a lot more speed out of them.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do, because the one complaint that you hear these drivers have in racing this new car is that when they get close to another car back in traffic, it really changes the balance of their car. And Tony only started 7th. We saw how quick he came through the pack to get the lead, but he's back 14 or 15 cars now. Even though he's not that far back in the lineup, he's running 9th, but he's got a lot of lap traffic there too, and that's affecting him. So he's really going to have to move around and find that clean air.
We're absolutely right. You see him right now following Jimmy Johnson down the back straightaway here. He can't just stay on the top side of the track if he's going to pass him. He needs, if Jimmy's up top or on the bottom, he's got to change lanes. Take whatever he got to do to get the air on the nose of that car to get some downforce. So what I'm about to tell you is that if he's running the high lane, don't expect him to run that lane the next lap. He's going to move his car up and down and all around, whatever it takes, lap by lap.
Yeah, you can see him going around the bottom right now. Right in front of him is our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, who is also struggling as he's back in this traffic right now. You see, go to the outside here and try to make up a little time, but this is a lap car. Dave, what are they saying in his pits?
Well, DJ, driver 48 is agreeing with Rusty right now. He just radioed to his crew and said, man, it is evil back here. He'd much rather be out front in clean air.
Well, that might mean that we might look to see a little pit strategy from Chad Knaus at some point in time. He's awfully good at making decisions like that and understanding his driver that from his driver that he needs to do something the next time they come down pit road.
Now, I remind you about the 20 car back in May. They did that on that final pit stop. They did not change tires to get him back out, and they lost the right front tire with 3 laps to go. They rolled the dice and lost that day, but they realized back then in May here at this racetrack that track position was so important.
You know, we see Tony Stewart taking the spot away there. He's really, as Rusty said, he's got to move his car around. But Andy, what else are we going to be able to do as a crew chief to get these guys out of this position?
Well, one thing is if they get a long run and they get these cars where they have to make 4-tire stops, the better pit crews are going to come to the top. You'll see the cream rise to the top. And, you know, we've seen the guys that run short runs. You've got a lot of strategy options where you can just change 2 tires or no tires like we've seen a lot of guys do. But I think the best option for Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart are to go a long run here, let everything sort out, make a good, and then have a caution flag where they can get a good stop off pit road, gain a few spots. I don't think you're going to get a big chunk. I think these guys are just going to keep methodically marching. You see Tony Stewart doing that right now. And Brian Vickers, he was another one that had done that earlier in the race. We saw how he did that and finally did wind up getting the lead. But boy, he's back in traffic now. Look at that right here. It's just Sam Morris Jr. giving Tony a fit.
And typically we've seen this rash of cautions here, one right after the other, and but typically we find a long run coming in here, and that's exactly what you're talking about. And it's not time to panic yet. We have just over 100 laps, 109 laps to go, so they're going to have to make up some time. But as you said, a 4-tire stop would kind of equalize things and get them the position they're looking for.
Jeff Gordon back to a racetrack that has been very good to him on his career over his career. In fact, it was right here 1 year ago that he claimed his last victory.
Quick look ahead to next weekend, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series running in Martinsville, Virginia. Speed has the coverage next Saturday, 2:30 Eastern Time. And we continue with our chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup from Martinsville as well. Next Sunday, 1 Eastern Time on ABC, the tight little half mile where Rusty Wallace has won about 100 races or so. Tonight here in Charlotte, we're about 2/3 of the way through this race, and we're seeing a pattern here. Guy gets the lead, leaves the pack. And it seems like more than we're used to seeing here, Rusty. Why?
It's because the track is a slick racetrack. They're running a real hard tire here, Alan. Downforce is very, very important on these car tomorrows, or the new car, whatever you want to call them. You see indication of that. The brakes are getting cherry red. They're slowing the cars down. Turn 4, the bank flies. Oh, we got a crash at turn 11. The car 11 of Denny Hamlin gets loose.
No caution flag yet.
It's like he straightens it back out, gets going again.
Yeah.
He did get in the wall out from the other side.
No 11 turns here, is there? Car 11.
That's what I meant. You're thinking about a road course. Denny right now is showing in 14th position and actually giving that spot up there to David Ragan in the 6th. We heard the spotter say he might have gotten a little help. Let's see if we've got video proof.
Let's see what we can find out here. Denny runs off down into the corner here. Looks like Clint gets up and under him just a little bit, trying to fight for the same piece of real estate. Then he gets loose, gets the right rear into the wall, squares it up just a little bit, keeps on trucking. Looks like there's a little smoke coming off that right rear tire there.
That's a hard save to make.
Yeah, he did a good job right there. Hey, Al, let's go back and try to put a period on this. What's going on with this clean air today out here? Why it's more important here this weekend than what we've seen in the past. Again, they're running on a real hard tire here. These cars don't have much downforce. Everything's being magnified here tonight. You're seeing that by the front brakes getting so hot. These guys are slowing these things down in the corners. And boy, when they get that little bit of clean air, they get much more downforce, and it really gets magnified. These old hot rods are taking off then.
Yeah, and you know what we've seen here in the past historically, the tires would fall off slowly, so the field would kind of stay caught up. But right now, just like Rusty's saying, you get out front, get that clean air, you are checking out on that little bit harder race tire.
A lot of talk on brakes going on. Jamie, down on pit road there.
Yeah, and Greg Biffle just had a little conversation with his crew chief, Greg Irwin, moments ago.
Hey, I wasn't trying to alarm you there or anything on your brakes. I know you were racing like hell when you was driving up through that pack. So you get up there, get you a little clean air. Just mind that for me. That's a little more heat than we've seen in the rotors. Yeah, I've been trying to stay off them, but it's been hard. Been shaking a little bit, and I can tell they're hot. So I have been trying to be as easy as I can.
Good communication, good information for his driver, Greg Biffle. For more on this, let's check in with Tim Brewer with the Chevy Cutaway car. What do you think, Tim?
Well, believe it or not, we were in Mooresville last Monday for about 4 hours over there at Pro Systems, chassis, dyno, and the brake pads and the rotors. And what we're finding is when the guys get on the brakes, they shake so hard, the steering arms and the spindles, we've got so much deflection in them, now they're moving all over the place. But what that is, it's brake pad composition. When you put a real grippy pad in there, meaning you want to stop the brake rotor really quick, the thing has a tendency to chatter really hard. But we're understanding more about the brake pad composition as well as the heat that we're putting into the rotors. We're going to learn more about that, and hopefully in the future we're going to take some of that chatter away from the cars. Doc?
Thanks, Tim, and that certainly, they test everything on these cars now, even down to the specifics in the brakes.
You cannot believe how far brakes have come on these cars over the last 10 years. It's just amazing all the advances they've made, and they're still working on them, still moving them forward. This car here has been a challenge for the brake system because it's so much heavier, and CG, or the center of gravity, is so much higher. You have to slow the car down more to get it in the turn.
Yeah, you talk about that 10 years. The brakes we had 10 years ago, which we thought were great at that time, would never last on this race car.
Oh, no, it's almost by necessity that these brakes have gotten so much better. Well, we see a lot of brake heat. I've seen that out of a lot of cars. Brian Vickers was leading the race, not really dealing with traffic, and his brake rotors were just cherry red.
Yeah. How impressive is this guy? I know we've said this, but man, Gordon's been great. Brian Vickers, who jumped out and led earlier, he's back in the 9th spot right now. He's racing with David Rudiman here.
That'll move him into 8th spot going by the 44 car. And talk about guys that have made comebacks. You mentioned Rudiman had bounced his car or scraped the wall twice in the first 40 or 50 laps. Had to come in and make some adjustments there. So give a call to those guys. Ryan Pemberton and company getting the 44 back up to speed.
You were asking me a while ago, how do you get back up through there? Do you do it just like this, one car at a time?
Yeah,
Ryan Vickers just picking them off.
Although Jeff Gordon has 5 wins here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, we asked him about the fact that they haven't really been that consistent on the 1.5 mile oval.
I think the 1.5 mile tracks have been the most inconsistent for us. And so I think that those tracks, we're going to have to step up our level of competition as far as speed and having a car that is maneuverable to get through traffic and get up front, stay up front, and battle with the competition.
Including tonight, of course, 4 of the final 6 races in the chase are on 1.5 mile racetracks, and I think they found some consistency here tonight, though.
Yeah, the consistency is that nice clean air up front. It's just been miraculous what it's done for the leader.
He pitted on lap 189, so he's going to be coming in pretty soon here for what will be his next to last pit stop. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Just 86 laps remain in the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte. Jeff Gordon is the leader, but he should be on pit road here momentarily because Jeff Gordon, Martin Truex, and Mark Martin, those 3 cars, stayed out and did not pit on the previous yellow. They pitted on lap 189. In fact, Martin Truex had just come on pit road a moment ago for a 4-tire change. We're waiting on Mark Martin and our leader, Jeff Gordon. It should be on momentarily.
Yeah, there'll be about a 10 or 11 lap gap in when these guys are going to have to hit pit road, and then the rest of the guys up front, Jeff Burton and Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, David Rubin, those guys that had been on pit road at lap 200. They're not going to want to stay out there too much longer after Gordon gets in pits and gets those fresh tires. They don't want to give up a lot of time to that, so I would expect they might cut that in half. These guys, all of these guys are going to have to make 2 more pit stops from this point.
The 99 car, Carl Edwards, had a problem with a vibration, came down, lost a lap because of a tire change, and came out on the restart, and the car shut off. He had an ignition problem. Came on the pit road, lost 16 more laps, and now Edwards being shown a total of 16 laps down in 34th position. Jeff Gordon slowing down. He will come down for what should be his next to last pit stop. Here he comes, the 5-time winner at Lowe's Motor Speedway, getting it down to 45 miles an hour. Remember, Truex came on and took on 4 tires, still waiting for Mark Martin to come in. Here he comes down to you, Dave.
And one of the ways the drivers can help is how they get in and off of pit road. Jeff trying not to exceed the speed limit, but get as close as he can to the maximum. They will take on 4 tires. There will be an air pressure adjustment for Jeff, but just slightly tight in traffic was his only complaint. Otherwise, pretty good for Jeff. And now they wait the anxious moments while they're still in the green flag. Hope a caution doesn't come out.
He is out. Mark Martin, the other car that stayed out, is coming on the pit road. There's the 16 of Biffle. They are black flagging the 15 because of a panel loose. Here's the 8 car, Mark Martin. Jamie.
Mark Martin, very racy that last stint. You see him working away on the left side there. 4 tires. He said he's just a, quote, a whisker free for Mark Martin. Guys.
Yes, he leaves pit road. Brian Vickers in the 83 has been into the wall. I believe it's in turn 3 and 4. He has slowed down the backstretch right now.
Still stay green, no caution flag. Brickers actually stayed up against the wall all the way through part of turn 2.
Yeah, he's hit it hard, and he's got a problem. He can't hardly get the car turned. He hit the wall in turn 3 and 4 the last lap.
Yeah, his problem is trying to get down in front of all this traffic. He's able to do that now.
Got a right front tire flat.
Wow, great night that he had going. Once again, something bites this team, takes their chance of victory probably away.
15 has been black flagged with the white cross. That means that they're going to stop scoring you. You don't come in. So now Paul Menard coming off that great finish at Talladega. They are going to call him in this time.
Yeah, Greg Biffle's assumed the lead now. He is got those 5 bonus points that he's been trying hard all night. As we see Brian Vickers in the pits. Dave?
Yep, they made a chassis adjustment. He was tight in traffic, but they also made very sure that they pulled all the fender work away from the right side tires. A 4-tire stop for the now damaged 83 car.
And here's Menard and Andy. These guys got to try to get that panel pulled away.
Yeah, they got to get it off of there because NASCAR is going to keep black flagging until they either get it secure or get it off. I would try to get it off if possible here. See, Paul's been in the wall a couple of times and done a lot of damage. They're going to try to fix it right here.
Leader Greg Biffle didn't wait long, DJ, as you mentioned. Here he comes down pit road for what should be his next to last stop.
He didn't want to give up much time to those fresh tires that Jeff Gordon had on there. Jamie?
Well, that's exactly what the 16 needed to stay out to get those 5 extra bonus points. Last stop, they took right sides only. This time, it's going to be 4. No adjustments. They asked him if they wanted to tighten them up. He said no. The track is cooling off. He needs no adjustments for that 16. He's down and away. Shannon?
Kasey Kahne, they're going to make a track bar adjustment on this car. He says it's just a little bit loose. This car earlier in the race, Kasey Kahne was saying that he couldn't even drive it right now. 4 tires for Kasey Kahne. Now Kevin Harvick right in front of him. The car is still battling bad. 4 tires for Kevin Harvick. It has been a struggle with this 29 car. Mike.
Jeff Burton said the car was progressively getting loose as that run went on, but finally settled down toward the end of the run. Team going to work now on the right side, working on a 4-tire stop on the 31 car and a full load of Sunoco race fuel. The service now being completed on the left side. He's off the jack and away. Dave.
Made a wedge adjustment last time for Kyle Busch. The wrench goes in again. The car was good at the start, maybe just a little too free for Kyle. 4-tire change. Jamie.
Tony Stewart gives up the lead. He comes in. Wow, you see that flame coming out there. Right sides for Tony Stewart. Car's pretty good. Staying in the top 10, guys. Great run here tonight so far for the 20. They go to work on the left side. Doc.
He is out. Clint Bowyer also in getting tires. You see, this is the full sequence of pit stops. Denny Hamlin coming out. Right behind him is a 20 car, Tony Stewart.
Got a car around on the entrance pit road, David Rudiman.
And Rudiman sliding sideways.
Keep going.
Yeah, David was having a great run.
Keep coming. 4150, 4150.
He had assumed the lead right there before he hit pit road. But he had been running up in the top 10. He's got it cranked and headed to his pits now.
Too fast entering a moment ago. Also the 20 car being flagged. Here comes Rudiman in. Watch him trying to get slowed down.
I think he got too much rear brake. I saw that the back wheels just lock up when he came to pit road.
Yeah, and I saw Tony Stewart come into pit road, and I was going to comment that, boy, if he didn't get on there too hard, he did a great job of getting in there extremely quick. But unfortunately, he's headed back down pit road.
Here's the 18. He was also too fast entering pit road. So pit penalties here again. Here's Tony Stewart. We were watching, looking right at this a moment ago, DJ, and he just jammed the brakes on.
And you've seen all these guys on these green flag stops trying to get everything they can. That first segment, you see that cone. That's when they start timing these cars.
50.83 miles an hour is what he was clocked at, and you're allowed from 45 up to 50, but nothing above. Our latest leader, Robbie Gordon, was being shown as the leader in his Dodge. Robbie coming off that top 10 at Talladega.
Yeah, the guy that was struggling a lot earlier in this race, Reed Sorensen, is now in the lead. This is because he has not gone to pit road yet. Jeff Gordon's in second, Greg Biffle third.
Looks like Reed Sorensen is the only car yet to make a pit stop. They're having a problem on Robbie Gordon's car. Air wrench failure. See, the front tire changer has to come back around with his wrench to get this done.
Yeah, you're not allowed to use another one there, are you? And you can come back with that.
2 wrenches is all you're allowed. If you lose one, you just have to start, changing tires with the one you have left.
41 Reed Sorensen is the leader here. He's yet to make his pit stop. He actually pitted on lap 209, so should be coming on momentarily. Behind him, those that have made pit stops, running second and third, Jeff Gordon, who was the leader when he came on the pit road. Oh, a couple of guys trying to get Woe down there, getting a little bit out of shape. There is Jeff Gordon in the 24 car. So once Sorensen makes his stop, it'll be Gordon back in the lead, then Biffle, Jeff Burton, and Mark
And when Jeff Gordon had pitted,
Tire just came apart big time.
we have trouble here for Robbie Gordon.
Well, here's the problem. They had a problem on their pit stop, and they made that when they came down under green, he locked the left front tire up trying to get on pit road, put a flat spot on, and then they didn't change it because they had a problem with the wrench. And left front tire blows out.
Well, he flat spotted the tire trying to get into the pits.
Yeah, just ground it right down.
Watch his tire come apart there. The debris come off of it.
So once he had slid that tire coming down the pit road, yeah, you see all the debris flying off of this. They're going to have a caution flag for this. It's out now.
Caution number 9 on the evening here with just 70 laps to go.
Wow, Reed Sorensen really benefited from it. A nice strategy by those guys to be able to do that and stay out there and keep him on the lead lap.
He'll stay on the lead lap. He'll have to make a pit stop and go behind the cars that just pitted, but still a good break for Reed.
Yeah, we only have 11 cars on the lead lap. We will have 12 as David Reagan, I believe, will be the free pass car. Get back on the lead lap, so that'll put us at 12. But a nice job by Reed Sorensen. See Robbie Gordon getting back out in the action.
Guys, we have to change that left front tire.
Yeah, this is just said we've seen a number of times, whether it's guys in the chase or anybody else, and Robbie Gordon was having a nice run here tonight, but mistakes in the pits can cost you, whether it's failure or just not getting the job done.
The big mistake was not going ahead and changing these left side tires, because all these cars coming on pit road have been sliding their tire. You see right here where he slides that left front, he basically just ground it completely through, and when they didn't change the lefts, he went back out and that tire blew out. Sometimes better just to bite the bullet, even though they'd had an air inch failure on the right, just come back around there and try to change those left sides.
Yeah, David Rudiman's sitting on pit road with the hood up in his car. You'll see as these guys come.
Yeah, you know Reed Sorensen's going to come. You see or Jeff Gordon coming back in.
A little surprised to see. Yeah, I'm surprised to see Jeff Gordon come back down pit road here.
Sorensen already in his pits, and Jeff headed down to you, Dave.
And this is the hardest decision. Do you come now and have no one come down behind you, or do you stay out and get juked that way? They decided to come down pit road, and since they're the only ones down here now, they will take on 4 tires. When this car gets in traffic, it's extremely tight, even with 4 fresh tires. So they put themselves in a position they don't want to be in. We'll see if Jeff can pull himself out of this one.
This might work out, Dave, because there's only 11 cars. It'll be 12 cars on the lead lap when the lucky dog gets back on there. But this might be okay, because that's how he got the lead. He pitted, and then they ran about 11 laps and had another caution. Jeff was able to stay out and get the lead back, so it might work out for him.
We'll wait and see if the strategy does work in favor of Jeff Gordon. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
We are at the 400-mile mark tonight here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, and Greg Biffle has reassumed the lead after a little shuffle of pit strategy that finds Jeff Gordon going from 2nd place at the caution flag to 7th place now.
I just don't think it was going to be good if we stayed out, but no, I understand. You know, that's how we got the lead. That's how they got it back. Beautiful thing is you lapped about 10 of them when you were leading, so there's only 11 on the lead lap. We'll see where we cycle out. 68 to go. And the other thing is we're sitting on 4 tires, so if you get another 10-lap yellow or something, that gives us quite a few more options. Did you make any adjustments? Yes, I freed it up just a little for the traffic.
All right, so we're inside a lap to the restart. Andy Petrie and I seem to like this strategy. It sounds like DJ and Rusty, the drivers, don't.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I gave up all that track position. Everybody's still got to stop one more time. Oh, but I've never done that.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rusty. I would like that. We saw Jeff Gordon's car be out there in front and be really good, and I wanted to see him have a good night here.
It can work out for Jeff Gordon. I know it doesn't look good now, but it can work out. Just got to see how this thing's going to shake out. Circumstances are going to determine this.
I hope you're right.
He is mired back in heavy traffic back there, and as long as he can dodge the traffic, and you heard Steve Letarte say, I freed you up a little bit so you can work the traffic. Let's see if he can get through it.
Yeah, Greg Biffle's the leader here. You see these cars in front of him. These guys are lapped down trying to get back on the lead lap. Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart. We got Kevin Harvick up there. So you can see they're all trying to make this happen because they were a lap down trying to get back on the lead lap.
Biffle up in front of Tony Stewart. There's a 31 car. Burton is actually the 2nd place car.
See, Tony Stewart's a lap down because of that penalty he got under green. He's going to try hard to get it back.
He can race hard here. He doesn't have to race to the point of having to pass the leader. He is the first car one lap down right at this point in time. But if Greg Biffle goes up there and starts passing these other guys, then he's got to get himself in a position. See Kyle Busch up there. That's Kevin Harvick out in the very front. You see the 18 of Kyle Busch, who was a lap down, and Ryan Newman battling hard right here.
Yeah, Kyle back on the tail end of the lead lap, and he also, as us did Tony Stewart, had to come down for that pit road penalty for speeding. Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, this is the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Clint Bowyer and Jamie McMurray.
Johnson once again finding himself in a position to possibly win another race here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. He's got some work to do. Jeff Burton there trying to take the lead.
Burton on the inside of the 16 car.
Wow, Jeff Burton's had just a phenomenal night. He's done a great job with this race car. They've done great pit work. They've done fast work in the pits, but great pit calls by his crew chief also.
Right now he's up to 3rd in the point standings in the chase, and Jeff Burton, he likes being able to sort of fly underneath the radar. He said, "Don't give that championship till you get to Homestead." We just keep moving up each and every week.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job here. He wasn't able to make that pass to get by Greg Biffle, but he's in a great spot. Mike?
And DJ, a pretty good debut for a new generation chassis for this team. Scott Miller told me this car has never been used in competition. It was built specifically for this race. A much lighter chassis than they've been able to produce in the past, and also a lower center of gravity. And it seems like Jeff Burton is right where he wants to be. Consider this stat, if you will. In his last 3 victories, he's led a total of 9 laps. So he certainly waits for that right opportunity to make his move. And he's right there waiting to pounce, it would seem, right now.
You don't have to lead but one of them here to win at Charlotte. And in fact, the driver who led the fewest laps in a race here and won, how about October of 1994? Dale Jarrett led 4 laps and won it here at Charlotte.
Say all you got to do is lead that last one. That's all I know. That's the one that counts. Hey, talk about a guy that shows a lot of patience. Well, that just proves with Jeff Burton how much patience he has in winning those races.
Let's listen into the 20 car here with Tony Stewart, the crew.
I'm sorry, guys. Deserve better than this. I just couldn't get stopped. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later. We got to dig here. It ain't over yet.
It's hard to fault the driver when he tries hard. He was trying to gain some time getting on pit road, and he just overdid it slightly.
Yeah, and you can do that, but you got a fast race car like that, man. It makes it tough in those situations. And we've seen Tony do this a couple of times. I believe, if I remember correctly, back at Kansas, he had a similar situation, too, to where he got caught speeding on pit road and created a lot of their problems.
The 11 car behind him, of course, Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, Denny's got some damage from his car. Dave?
And DJ, we haven't talked about that since that damage happened back on lap 233. He hit the wall. Thought that the steering was off at first, but now reasons that it's just an aero-tight situation, especially in traffic. Wow, Biffle looked like he almost got the wall.
And Burton's going to go around him and take the lead away.
Yeah, that's just the opportunity Jeff Burton was looking for. Been watching him all night. His car really gets good as they get some laps on the tires. Biffle's not giving up yet. This is exactly the opportunity that Burton was looking for to get out front and see what his car can do in the lead. He's seen all these other guys get out front and take off.
These leaders are not enjoying that clean air we talked about earlier because the lap car started in front of them, and they're still trying to work by some of these lap cars and race for the lead at the same time.
Jeff Gordon, remember, he came on the pit road, made that pit stop, and Rusty, he's still trying to work his way back through traffic.
I'm not going to predict anything, guys, but, that clean air we saw all night long was so important. And, I'm looking at Jeff's lap times, and are just not there compared to the leaders. In fact, this last time by was pretty good, but the times before, not there. That clean air, man, is just, you got to have it. He doesn't have it right now.
But, Rusty, one thing that the other cars, the leaders don't have it either. So this is actually playing in Jeff Gordon's hands. He's able to make up a couple spots here. He's already up to 6th spot. He's running down Jamie McMurray for that next one.
Yeah, he could actually see the leaders from where he's at, so he's not in a bad spot right now.
You mentioned about it being a total team effort for this 31 car. They've got Jeff's got it done on the racetrack, but the guys on pit road have also done a yeoman's job.
They've made up spots when they changed 4 tires, and they've also, like Dale said, had good pit strategy where they've gained spots when they changed no tires and got fuel and right side. So they've done a good job on pit road all the way around.
Yeah, we talk about him and how good a job he's done. And let's jump back to his teammate for a second back there in third. You see that black car with Jack on the hood? That's Clint Boyer, who hit the wall with that race car yesterday, and he's sitting here in third spot. I don't know that if we'd have talked to him yesterday afternoon, he would have predicted this.
31 car is our leader, Jeff Burton. 15 years he's been trying to win the championship, and he's trying to win a race tonight, which will be the next step into winning a championship and becoming this year's last man standing.
Jeff's your last. He's the guy. He could be a factor before this thing.
Less than 50 laps remain here in the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte. 31 car, Jeff Burton trying to pick up his second win of the year and move up as he continues to do here in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Chase point standings. He's right now in third spot, just 79 points back of Jimmie Johnson. Clint Boyer now is taking the second spot away from Greg Biffle. There's the 07 car Boyer, Biffle behind him.
Nice job by these RCR cars running first and second now. They just methodically worked their way to the front and let the race come to them. They knew it's a long race and got themselves in a position now with less than 50 laps to go to win a race and gain some points.
Jamie McMurray's on the move, passing Jimmie Johnson right here.
That's for fourth spot. Johnson gets the high line and goes back by him on the outside.
Jeff Gordon is right behind these 2 cars trying to run them down.
So Gordon did get a bit of a break, and as you mentioned, Andy, the biggest break he got when he had to make that pit stop was the fact that leaders were also in traffic and didn't have clean air.
Yeah, they've got some cars in front of them like Ryan Newman in the 12 and Kyle Busch. Those guys are fast, and they were in front of the leaders, and the leaders really just never got the benefit of that clean air like we've seen all night long.
See Jamie McMurray making that pass on Jimmie Johnson to slide into the fourth spot. Nice run for Jamie McMurray. Here comes Jeff Gordon. On the move here. This could work out for him. It's going to be interesting to see.
It could. Circumstances are going to determine how this works out for this team. If the caution comes out at the right time, they might be able to just get 2 tires or no tires, jump back out there, get that lead back that they got.
Not that big a difference between Gordon when he pitted and Jeff Burton, 9 laps, but how much does that make it? Is it that significant enough on the tires?
No, I don't think that's going to be the issue. And the thing is now that Jeff Burton has some clean air. He's gotten by all of those lap cars. There's a couple that did pass him and have gone on. Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch are still out there, but they're so far in front of him. I don't think the tire issue is going to be something that's going to affect him, especially as they run on. They're all going to have to pit again. And but Jeff Burton he's utilizing that clean air right now to kind of pull away from everybody else.
Let's check in on Jamie McMurray. Jamie.
And Jamie McMurray on the outside of Jimmie Johnson right there in the 26 car. I talked to Larry Carter, his crew chief, today, and he said, you know, we're just trying our own thing. They're one of 2 of the Roush Fenway teams that aren't in the chase, so they're looking forward to next year. He said they actually had a great test here a couple weeks ago. They learned a lot. They were bringing that tonight, and gosh, they really need a good run. They finished 17th or worse the last 6 races. Right now, they're running for it. Dave?
And right behind him, Jimmie Johnson's car is very loose, and it looks like Jimmy McMurray's is just a little bit too. Johnson fighting back now. Remember, the last time they pitted was under the green flag stops. They took on 4 tires, made a wedge adjustment because the car had been too loose, and it's still there. Almost wrecked, according to the driver, a few laps back.
You know, that's one thing you do. You see him right up under the bumper of Jamie McMurray here. When you have a loose race car, if you can get up to that car in front of you, take that air off the front end, it won't turn quite as good, so you can alleviate some of your loose situation.
So if you know a guy's loose, you're going to get up there and try to aggravate it even more.
No, these guys wouldn't do that.
Yeah, here comes Jeff Gordon on the outside, looking back from Jimmie Johnson. By the way, the 70 car, Tony Raines, has now gone to the garage area. So 4th, 5th, and 6th. Gordon back in 6th spot. McMurray is 4th. And McMurray may have an issue, Jamie.
Well, earlier in the race, he had a tire go down, and right now, radio communication is indicating they have the same problem. They think they have a tire going down. That could be the reason why we saw him getting so loose. Let's keep our eye on this 26.
We saw him last night get real loose and make a pit stop thinking he had a flat tire, and it wasn't flat. So, you know, this is something. You know, some of these guys get these feelings in the car, and they don't really know what's causing it. And I think when he passed Jimmie Johnson, he did get real loose. Thought maybe he had a flat tire.
Yeah, and I think it's really harder to detect when you actually do with this new car because of the drivability of it and the aerodynamics of this car. It makes it more difficult to really distinguish when you have that. Okay, still running pretty good, though, so we see Jamie McMurray's able to stay in front of Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon.
Hey, Doc and Andy DJ, so we're sitting down here, as usual, with the calculator smoking, trying to figure out, Jeff Gordon, this restart happened with 63 laps to go. Any way you see him making the finish on fuel and making an economy run out of this from here?
No, not under green, Alan. They would have to have a lot of caution flags, laps to make that work. And I think if the caution comes out, they'll come back down pit road and get tires.
Funny you should ask, gentlemen. In May, this car was awful, according to crew chief Steve Letarte. Near the end of the race, the only way they were going to do anything good was to have a fuel mileage strategy. They ended up finishing 4th. Steve told me this morning the computer told them they could only go 58. Guess how many laps they went when Jeff Gordon saved them fuel? 63.
Oh, the plot thickens.
Well, they're pushing it, no doubt about that. I got the top 5 guys hitting pit road around lap 3:15. Jeff Gordon can go to like lap 3:23. So if those guys do hit pit road in that area, oh, caution.
Uh-oh. Never mind.
This changes everything.
42 car into the wall.
Yeah, 42, Montoya bringing out caution, and it will throw all that fuel strategy out the window.
All right, come on down to the bottom.
We got this whole deal worked out, too.
Yeah, this started a little while ago. Yeah. As they came off of turn 4 and down the front stretch, you can see Kurt Busch and the 42. Now watch the 6. He'll get in the mix here, too, and these guys aren't finished here.
David Ragan said, let me get out of town for you.
Right there.
Crash.
I believe that's what cut the left front tire down to send Montoya into the wall. You can see it's smoking there, but a lot of damage.
Just arguing over space.
Yeah, that was about 5 laps ago, and it lasted that long. But the left front tire was down there, and I believe that's what sent him into the wall.
Okay, here's where the strategies are going to come into play. It's 37 laps to go. Jeff Gordon's got a little bit fresher left side tires than the other cars.
Does he get 2?
Does he get 2? Does he get none? Get a little fuel?
Do you get 2 and try to get him up there, or do you put none on him? What do you do?
I think I get 2 tires because we've seen some tire issues, and I just think it would be best to get right side tires anyway.
And you have to get enough fuel that he can be there that long anyway.
It's going to take about 6 or 7 seconds to change right side tires. That's about how much fuel he needs, so wouldn't hurt to just get a little bit.
All right, here they come. Let's see what's going to happen here and what should be the final stop. Jamie.
And guys, 16, Greg Biffle said he's just a tick too tight. They over-adjusted on the last stop, so they were going to make a track bar. They may just make wedge now and right side tires. And last indicator, Mike?
Clint Boyer's been fighting loose most of the night, but he said this is the best he's been. Meanwhile, your leader, Jeff Burton, a very quick pit stop, gas only.
Jeff Gordon on pit road as well. He will take 4 tires. That has worked best all night for this bunch, and he's off.
Guys, what about the 31? Gas only for Jeff Burton here with 36 laps to go.
They've done it quite a few times tonight, and it's worked for him. He didn't want to give that lead up, and that's the only way he could ensure that he would come off pit road with the lead is to just get gas.
Wow. How about the decision for Jeff Gordon to take on 4 tires?
Don't know if I agree with that one.
We're going to see how it all shakes out. By the way, Jeff Burton right now up to 2nd in the point standings. Should be a good one to the finish here. Back in just a moment. Coming up after the race, stay tuned for your late local news over on most of these ABC stations. This one should be quite a shootout. Let's set up who did what. The 31 car came on pit road and took fuel only. 2 tires for Jimmie Johnson in the 48, Kyle Busch in the 18, and Casey Kane in the 9. And also the Kurt Busch in the 2. 4 tires for the 20 of Jeff Gordon and the 16 of Greg Biffle. Who's in the best spot, guys?
I think Jeff Burton. He's got the lead. Clean air. I think he's in the best spot.
Over on ESPN coming up next, SportsCenter will be tracking some neat stories, big wins on campus today in college football. Who's the nation's #1 team? What about that Red River rivalry? And the Red Sox Rays game 2. Let's listen into the 31 rating.
Hey, save every drop. I cut that a little close. We got enough, but we won't for a green, white checker.
Oh, that's not what you want to hear.
No.
Well, just getting gas and going like that, they should have stayed just a little bit longer because they weren't really racing anybody at the end of pit road. Boy,
I guess they didn't know that they weren't going to do it. Didn't know who else may take just fuel at that point in time. It's going to be interesting to see. A lot of different strategies here. I might like Greg Biffle back there with 4 tires in the 5th spot.
Got a few laps to get it done. 34 laps to go.
See if Jeff Burton can hang on. No tires, gas only. Jimmy's going to try to get there. He's a 5-time winner here. Casey Kane won it back in May.
Casey Kane up there in 3rd spot. And race reporter is doing a great job. He hadn't had the car most of the night, but
here comes Jimmy Johnson on the inside. I take this lead away from Jeff Burton.
These guys are 1-2 in the point standings right now. Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Burton in the chase.
Jeff Burton needs to fight hard to try to keep this lead because he needs that clean air.
Yeah, he's got some momentum coming off the corner. I think he's going to be able to clear Jimmy Johnson. Still battling.
Jimmy pulling back on the inside.
These guys aren't thinking about a championship right now. All they're thinking about is getting the trophy tonight.
2 tires versus no tires.
There's Casey Kane on the bottom of the racetrack in 3rd spot. As these 2 guys battle side by side, he wants to get up there and be a part of that. Kirk Busch right behind the 9 car.
Jeff Burton does a great job to keep the lead and stay clear. Looks like Jimmy's got another run. But here comes Jamie McMurray under Greg Biffle.
5th place. McMurray trying to take that spot away.
48 got a nice run off of turn 2 and down the backstretch. Now he's trying to make this move on the inside off of turn 4.
It looks like Jeff Burton struggled just a little bit off of turn 2 the last lap, and it allowed Jimmy to gain on him going down the backstretch.
Jimmy Johnson really good entering turn 1 a moment ago, and that's where he tries to grip to the bottom. Look at the 31 coming back.
Yeah, but you can't get in there on the inside of that car. On the outside, you lose some of that downforce.
And you got to hand it to Jeff Burton. He has fought this challenge off from Jimmy Johnson.
Look at this group here. Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, the 07 of Clint Boyer. Here goes Gordon to the high side of the 18 car.
Yeah, but he's going to run up on a lap car there of Regan Smith. You see Clint Boyer right back there. Gordon's going to fall in behind Kyle Busch. Give him a little bump there down the front straightaway.
This is 7th, 8th, and 9th.
You see these guys battle. Kirk Busch is taking over the 3rd spot, as you see, right behind Jimmy Johnson. Miller Lite Dodge has come to life here at the end of the race.
Back up front again. Jimmy Johnson gets off that 3rd turn and off of 4 pretty well, but then Jeff Burton able to stay out front here down the straightaway.
Now, Jeff Burton won't give you a lot of trouble in the middle of the race, but I'm going to tell you right now, 28 laps to go, he is not giving this lead up easily.
This is a great battle. Jeff Burton knows how difficult it's going to be for Jimmy Johnson to make that pass on the inside. He's willing to give him that inside lane right now.
And also Jeff Burton, now maybe thinking about the win, but he's never won a championship, and these 2 guys right now are 1-2 in the point standings.
Jeff Burton knows he's going to have to win races to win the championship. He's in a good spot to do that tonight, and he's going to give it all he's got.
You know, last week we saw Jimmy Johnson pull some strategy that kind of surprised a lot of us. He was satisfied at the end of that race to lay back there and take him a top 10 and get out of there. He don't want to do that here now, but he lost a little bit of time off of turn 2 right there.
He's got some company right now. Kirk Busch has come to life.
Yeah, he has came back there as well.
Yeah, this is Jimmy Johnson's house. This racetrack has his sponsor's name on it, and he expects to be in victory lane when he comes here.
Casey Kane, we mentioned he has won 3 of the last 5 races run at this racetrack.
He's peaking at the right time, right at the end of the race. Just like he did in the spring.
Yeah, he won the All-Star race, won the Coke 600. Shannon.
What a night it has been for Kasey Kahne. He was as far back as 26. He got the lucky down back on lap 187. Really been battling loose conditions with this car all night. They came down pit road, took 2 tires. Did not surprise me because I spoke with his crew chief, Kenny Francis, who called the shots for the nationwide race last night. He told me we came down at the end of the race. We took 4 tires. We should have taken 4. I'm learning from that move.
His driver still doing a heck of a job, though, back there in the 4th position.
Jeff Burton slipping away from these guys in that clean air.
And that car's good. A lot of cars have been good out front, but that was a great job by Jeff Burton. Really battling that 48 to keep the lead.
Now inside of 25 laps to go. ABC's Bad Girl of Television is finally back. Christina Applegate stars in the season premiere of the Emmy-winning comedy Samantha Who. Monday at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central on ABC.
And I'm not saying Jeff Who. They know that's Jeff Burton out front. He means to win this race.
He is serious about it. You know, the only thing is don't know if he's got enough fuel. I heard that radio transmission after that last pit stop.
Yep, they don't want to see a caution late to see if he's to get to a green-white checker. They think they got enough to get to 334 and maybe not beyond.
Remember what happened here in May when some people gambled on fuel, and it was Carl Edwards who ran out of gas on the white flag lap running 3rd. Had to coast down to the checker.
He also had Tony Stewart leading that race, who did not change tires in that race and had a flat tire with 3 laps to go. So a lot of different scenarios.
Here comes Kasey Kahne inside of Kurt Busch.
Well, Kasey Kahne's as good as they get here in the final 25 laps at this racetrack.
And he got clear. That was important because you can't hardly run side by side getting in that corner. Did a great job making that pass.
Tell you, look right back here. Yeah, there's a car we better watch out, especially if we have a caution. This 18 car is flying up through the pack. He's not having problems passing anybody. Seeing battling Jamie McMurray here right now, trying to take over that 5th spot. It's by far the best race they've had in the chase. These guys have really struggled. Good to see them have a good night. And this is all happening after they had a speeding on entering pit road under our green flag. Dave?
And DJ, they hit the wall in final practice. In fact, last night before Kyle dominated the nationwide race, crew chief Steve Addington was to have made his way to the pit box to help out. He showed up late. Everyone asked why. It says, because I was working on my race car. We hit the wall in final practice. Well, I guess they got the sheet metal hammered out just right, because they have been good tonight after a poor start and then worked on the car and have gotten very good.
Nice job by those guys to get this car back in shape where he can drive it like this and be up towards the front. I don't think he has enough laps. He's got 20 laps to go. Don't know if that's enough to catch Jeff Burton.
Check in on the Jeff Burton team. Mike.
Well, Doc, it appears that in his pre-race comments, Jeff Burton was a bit prophetic, completely focusing on Jimmie Johnson. He said, there's absolutely no question they've been the most consistent team at these next 2 racetracks, that of course being here and Martinsville. But he said, as good as they've been, we need to be better. If we're going to beat them in the championship, we need to continuously chip away. We need to make them earn it. And that's what he's trying to do tonight, trying to hold off the 48 by the slimmest of margins, Dave.
And they know that even though they've been good here, Mike, they have to keep improving their race cars. Did the Charlotte test a few weeks back help out this team? It did not. They had a horrible test. What helped them was after that, they fixed the things that didn't go well in the test and went to the 1.5 miles at Kansas. A little different, but the same length of tracks. They ran very well there, dominated the race, and won that race. Chad Canals told me that's what got us prepared for tonight's event.
Last couple of laps, as you guys mentioned, Kyle Busch has been quicker than either one of these cars here, Jimmie Johnson or Jeff Burton, but he's only got 18 laps to get there.
Yeah, and Burton's losing a little bit of time to Jimmie Johnson. And so that lap there, they were pretty much equal.
The one car right now that looks like he's in a good position and gaining is the 9 car of Kasey Kahne. I know Kyle Busch here, he's fast, but he's got a few cars to go through before he can get to the lead.
Let's update you what's going on with our NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship with today's Sprint Cup Monster Moment. They began with problems for the engine for the 99 car. Carl Edwards had shut off and would not refire. They had to come down pit road, lost 16 laps. 88 Earnhardt Jr. right front tire, and he pops the wall pretty well. He would go back behind the wall and come back out. And the 17 car of Matt Kenseth gets spun, and he smacks the wall. Kenseth out of this race and will finish 41st. All three of those drivers dropping back in the standings. Here's a guy that's moving up, though. Jeff Burton in the 31 car is second in the points, right now being shown 89 points back of the 48 car of Jimmie Johnson.
Andy, like you said, I thought Jimmie Johnson was catching a little bit. The guy on the move is Kasey Kahne.
But also now Jeff Burton seems to have found a little bit more speed. I'm not sure he wasn't saving some fuel there for a few laps. Here comes Kasey. He's got a little run on Jimmie Johnson.
And, you know, Jeff Burton would like to see this too. That's 5 more points he's thinking about this championship. He's focused on winning this race, but at the end of the night, he'll say that was a nice move by Kasey Kahne as he goes by Jimmie Johnson.
He will, unless he gets up there and passes him.
You crew chiefs are always thinking.
I was being positive from the driver's side of it, that he wasn't going to come get me, that he's just helping out the situation there. Shannon, how about Kasey Kahne?
DJ, they made a track bar adjustment on that last pit stop, and wow, this car has come alive. They're telling Kasey Kahne over the radio, just maintain your focus because he is turning some of the fastest laps on the track.
He's got his doing that.
He's got himself in the right position, too, if the 31 car does not have enough fuel to make it to the end.
Certainly does, yeah. He's our in-race reporter. We won't talk to him right now. We know he's a little bit busy. But, man, what a run he's made. This is impressive.
A lap down early on in the race, got the lap back. Back in about 25th position, just picked them off one at a time. Very patient by this crew for Kasey Kahne, Kenny Francis and company to dial him back in here when the laps count.
Jeff Burton and Jimmie Johnson have a lot to lose by gambling, but Kasey Kahne, he can do anything right here. He's nothing to lose.
Burton was just a little bit faster on that lap right there. About 5/100ths of a second.
I think he just checks that mirror. He might be saving just a little bit of fuel since his crew chief told him they weren't sure if they had enough.
He's down to 12 laps to go now. You see Jimmie Johnson is coming under attack to Kurt Busch now. He doesn't want to lose another spot. It's 5 more points in his quest for his 3rd straight championship. It'll be very valuable by the time we get to Homestead.
Point standings at the top of your screen there. The differential, Burton now just 84 back. Biffle 101.
Yeah, Biffle's falling back to 7th spot, so those 4 tires don't seem to have agreed with his race car.
Now, 4 tires just was not the right call. We see Jeff Gordon, he got 4 tires. He's 8th place right now, not able to make any move to the front.
And Mark Martin's back in 9th and David Ragan in 10th. Tony Stewart is just outside the top 10. Whoa.
A little contact there with Kurt Busch on the 48. A little nudge, and Kurt will take the spot away. So now Jimmie Johnson back to 4th position.
Yeah, that'll tighten the point standings up just a little bit more.
Yeah, down to 79 now. And we got another car coming on to Jimmie Johnson in his mirror, Kyle Busch.
Kasey Kahne's chipping away at this lead of Jeff Burton's, though. He ran about 3/10 faster, 4/10 faster than Jeff Burton the last lap.
About a 10th faster that lap, so he's getting a little bit closer. Burton had a little traffic to deal with there. Kasey Kahne will be coming up on the 7 car of Robbie Gordon. We'll see a few more cars in front of Jeff Burton, so he will have a little traffic to deal with. I'm sure these guys will give him plenty of room, though, as we get down here inside of 10 laps to go.
Jeff Burton's a 2-time winner at this racetrack. His wins coming in the fall of '99 and the spring of 2001. But he's been very consistent over the years. 6th or better. He has finished 6th or better in 4 of the last 5 races. And he's the only other driver besides Jimmie Johnson to finish in the top 10 in all 4 chase races this year.
He's been awful consistent. 2 4ths and 2 7ths in the chase so far. He's leading this race here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. So we see Kyle Busch has caught Jimmie Johnson, trying to take that 4th spot away from him.
He's going to get this spot, too. He's got a big run. Another wiggle by Jimmie Johnson off the corner.
Yeah, Jimmie really loose on the exit of the corner right now. See Kyle Busch down. It's a nice comeback for Kyle Busch to get himself back up there after having that speeding penalty on pit road.
This would be Kyle Busch's best finish in the chase now. His best finish was at Talladega, 15th a week ago. Prior to that, he did not even have a top 25.
You see him there. See Jimmie Johnson still really fighting the race car.
7 laps to go. There's the 31 go by, and you saw the 9 moving in a little bit. Kasey Kahne
picked up a couple tenths the last lap.
He's down on the bottom, trying to make some time there, the shorter way around. We heard Kasey say earlier before the night started, wherever that race car wanted to go is where he was going to take.
He's going to make a race out of this.
Yeah, he can see him now. No traffic between them.
5 to go this time. 5 to go.
That's Kim Burton right there. That's Jeff's wife. She gets so nervous up there in these waning laps of races, watching her husband try to win it.
Yeah, nice lap there by Jeff Burton, back down in the 32nd bracket, but still was beat right at a 10th of a second.
McMurray going by the 48, so 5 more points for Jimmie Johnson, slipping back now to 6th place.
Everything's happening good for Jeff Burton right now, if he can just hold on to this lead. But Kasey Kahne keeps closing in on him. Jeff Burton's got one more car that he's battling off of turn 4 here, a lap car.
Good, man. Come on.
Makes the pass there.
All clear.
4 laps to go. He really doesn't have any traffic that he's going to have to encounter from this point to the end of the race. But Kasey Kahne is there. He can see him in his mirror now.
If he picks up what he picked up the last lap, Kasey Kahne will catch him on the white flag.
Okay, you're racing a guy this hard at the end of the race, Dale. How much are you looking in that mirror?
You look occasionally once you get straight. You're not looking through the cornering thing just a little bit. You're just doing your job. You're just glancing to make sure you still have some advantage right there. Jeff Burton's professional.
Come on.
He knows how to do this.
Kim Burton, Jeff's wife, knows how much he wants not only to win here, but how much he has dreamed about winning a championship. His career began 16 years ago. I'm sure, DJ, if a lot of the drivers in the chase would say they couldn't win it, they'd like to see Jeff Burton win.
You poll these other 42 drivers, not only the drivers in the chase, but these other 42 have a huge amount of respect for Jeff Burton, the way he conducts himself on and off the racetrack. He's got huge fans and a lot of us out here.
His unofficial nickname in the garage area is the Mayor.
He's got 2 laps to go to get it done. Does he have enough fuel?
Yeah, that's really the issue now. I don't think Kasey Kahne can get to him as long as he doesn't run short on fuel.
Jeff Burton won at Bristol, Tennessee early in the year. Came in here 4th in the point standings.
White flag, boss. White flag. Bring it on.
1.5 miles away from a victory at Lowe's Motor Speedway and jumping big time up into serious contention in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
Yeah, right now he's 69 points behind. He said he needed to win races to be a serious factor in this.
He's driving his way into this championship hunt.
That's the way you do it. And that's the way he wanted to do it.
On an October night under the lights at Lowe's Motor Speedway, 41-year-old Jeff Burton hangs on and gets it done. Burton wins at Charlotte.
Yeah, nice win there. Kasey Kahne 2nd. Kurt Busch, great run by him. His brother Kyle right behind him in 4th. Jamie McMurray comes on 5th.
Good job, guys. Good job. Real good job.
Great team effort.
Jeff Burton officially led twice for 58 laps tonight. You see Scott Miller, the crew chief, and there's the crew there. What a great job they have done. And we saw earlier they gained spots on pit road every single time. Dave.
And I believe 3 stops for fuel only, including the last one, Scott. But how nervous were you about how much fuel you got in the car?
Well, I probably jumped the gun a little bit there on sending him. I was worried. The numbers said we had enough, but I wouldn't have had enough for a green-white checkered. So I'm not sure. I won't be surprised if we don't run out there.
And how about the way he drove those final laps?
That was quite a display. He got up on the wheel, did the deal, and we were good at the right time tonight.
Trusted the numbers, trusted the driver, guys.
Way to go, money maker. Whoever made that call on the tires, that's pretty cool. that was an awesome call.
Calling Jeff the moneymaker.
Nice job. Jeff Burton, a little old school. No bird out here. Just gets the checkered flag, saluting the fans, saying thank you to them.
You're supposed to drive in Victory Lane like you meant to, right?
Well, that's what he came here to do.
Look at the point standings. What a shake-up here in the NASCAR Sprint Cup points. Burton goes up a couple of spots, just 69 back. Biffle in 3rd. See Carl Edwards dropping back 2 spots by virtue of finishing 33rd here tonight.
Kyle Busch
up.
Kyle Busch back out of the basement now. He's in 9th spot.
Let's go down to Shannon, who's standing with Kasey Kahne.
What an effort for this team, Kasey Kahne. What happened on that last run? It looked like this car just came alive.
We just had some clean air. We got out, up towards the front, and the car was pretty good. I was really loose into the corner, and I tried catching him. We did all we could, and came up a little bit short. But it was a fun run. We, this track's great. You can move all over it. You can do a lot of things at this racetrack, and it was a fun race. I wish we could have got it.
All right, Kasey Kahne, second place finishes his first top 5 since June.
And Shannon, right behind him was Kurt Busch, who in the end there said, hey, the 2 is here as well, right?
Man, we had a good run. Real surprised by it. We mixed the 77 setup with the 12. We tested so poorly here with the Miller Lite Dodge. We couldn't run what the 2-car had. So it feels really good to have team communication and bring all this together. I mean, this is the first time for the new engine, the R6, to finish in the top 5. We're pushing hard, trying to get numbers on it for next year. Just a big rebound from where we were at Kansas a few weeks ago. So it feels really good for all of our sponsors, Mobil 1 and Dodge, especially Miller Lite. We're going to go have one tonight after this.
They went after it and got it tonight for Kurt Busch.
Well, down here with Jimmie Johnson, you look like you got a run on Jeff Burton. At the beginning of that run, did your car just go away as the laps went down?
Yeah, it did. And Burton got me way loose a couple times. I guess just defending his position there. But, we were good on the short run and things would fall apart. The last quarter of the race, we just didn't have the speed in the car. It was way too loose. I almost spun out a couple times. So, frustrated with the result, but I guess a 6th or something like that isn't too bad. 16 was behind us. Good day for the points, but earlier in the race, we were much better than that. We just got a little aggressive midway and hurt the performance of the car.
All right, another solid finish for this 48 team. Dave?
And Kyle Busch, who dominated at this racetrack last night, fought back tonight. Kyle, how do you feel about your finish?
I feel it was pretty respectable for what happened there towards the end of the race. Speeding on pit road. If we could get through one of these races without a mistake, tonight it was mine, we'd be all right. We had a shot for the win tonight. We could contend with those guys up front and race with them. Our car was faster at the end of the race. The Susan G. Coleman M&M's car was pretty sporty. So, thank everybody at Toyota and all the guys at Eminent, all the guys on the crew. They stuck with me. So we got 4th tonight.
A good rebound for them. Jamie?
And Jeff Gordon bounced off the wall early on, fought your way all the way back. Take us through your night, Jeff. How much work was that? Mark Martin congratulating him. What's he saying there?
Oh, well, we had some good racing. There was one time when he knew clean air was so important, and he got inside me off of 2. And I had to race him hard on the outside. I got him real loose. And then later, I was inside of him, and he got me real loose. But looking forward to having him as a teammate next year. Great effort by this DuPont Chevrolet team. I'm just so bummed out that I got in the wall early. I just, I was no big deal. I wasn't pushing it that hard. It's just like the air came off the other cars, and I just didn't leave enough room. And boom, got in the wall, not once, but twice, and ruined our night. But to be able to come back from that and lead this race, I know we're out of sequence, but man, it's amazing how great the car is out front and how terrible it is when you get about 6 cars back. So we just got the best thing we possibly could out of it there at the end, and I'm very happy.
Hard-fought effort for Jeff Gordon, comes home 8th, remains 8th in the points. Doc?
It's all about the 31 car though tonight. Jeff Burton picking up his 3rd career win at Lowe's Motor Speedway. What an effort, led twice for 58 laps, including the final 57 laps.
And Doc, the celebration is on, the confetti is flying. Jeff Burton led 58 laps tonight, very impressive considering he led only 82 all season coming into this race. But there had to be a little bit of concern on that final restart after that last round of pit stops. You didn't take any tires, the guys behind you did. What were you thinking?
Drive hard. Scott made a great call there. We were our best on old tires, and he made a great call. And obviously the 9 was coming pretty hard there, but we were good enough when it counted, and just a great night for us. I mean, I keep saying this team is going to keep bringing its best stuff, and we keep bringing it better and better every week. So just proud of everybody. It's just a hell of a feeling turning into these victory lanes. I mean, it's just an incredible feeling, and I want to say thank you to everybody at AT&T. All our sponsors have been stuck behind us for so long, and I tell you something, there's been a lot of talk about fans not being in the seats and stuff like that because the economy, but let me tell you something, we got the best fans in the world, and appreciate everybody being a part of it.
A lot of talk about the championship as well as it will continue for the next 5 weeks. You jumped from 4th to second in the standings. How are you looking at things right now?
Well, it's still, we're halfway. You know, it's a long way to go. A lot of stuff's going to happen. I keep telling that. Everybody wants to give somebody the trophy right now, and it's way too early. You know, it's our job to put ourselves in position and go to Homestead with a chance. I mean, that's, you know, nobody's giving us a chance except for us, and all those guys have a tremendous amount to lose. We got nothing to lose. We're just hanging it out there and seeing what can happen.
Congratulations. Thank you. Jeff Burton in victory lane, Alan.
Well, Jeff talked about a lot of racing still to go. Here are the places where that racing will happen over these next 5 weeks. Martinsville, Virginia next week. Then on to Atlanta, Texas, Phoenix, Homestead, Miami Speedway. Of course, all those races live on ABC. Tickets available at all of those tracks. That's how you give them a call. So Jeff Burton wins tonight.
We're real proud of him. He did a great job throughout the night. But boy, I tell you, we learned one big thing tonight. That clean air, man, was everything.
Absolutely. Along with that high line. If you got up on the high side of the racetrack, got the grip, you can take the air off the car and maintain. Great job of Jeff Burton.
And a big shake-up in the standings with Carl Edwards and his troubles. Jeff Burton now second to Jimmy Johnson as we move on to Martinsville. And the short track next Sunday, 1 Eastern time on ABC. Jimmy Johnson has won 3 of the last 4 there. That is Jeff Burton's home track, the Virginia native. Be an interesting afternoon. We hope you will join us for that. Coming up next, your late local news. Congratulations to Jeff Burton, winner tonight here in Charlotte. Thanks for watching ESPN on ABC. We'll talk to you next Sunday from Martinsville, Virginia.